Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto lives in the forest of death. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Hector Flores and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Ever since I could remember, everyone else in my orphanage got things I never got. They celebrated their birthdays with cake, songs and gifts. They celebrated mine by beating me with a mallet and leaving me to bleed to death. I can honestly say that for the first 3 years of my life I truly believed my name was either Freak or Demon Brat. I learned watching and sneaking around the matron's office that most other orphans either get adopted or they stay in the orphanage till they were 8. At the age of 8 the boy or girl get a place to live and an allowance since they will start attending the academy to become ninja in service of the village. I was I guess 5 years old when the matron finally got tired of failing to kill me. I was beaten and left in a garbage bin behind a restaurant someplace I had no clue where. That is when I met the person that I would call my mother. She was a beautifully dressed woman with long red hair and the kindest smile I had ever seen. So little Naruto has finally decided to pay me a visit. I wish it was on better circumstances, but I guess the old saying about beggars does apply. Come near me, my boy, I will not harm you. I walked closer to the tree she was leaning on. I did it cautiously, however, since I have been hurt by people that pretend to be nice to me before. Who are you, lady? And why aren't you trying to hurt me like everyone else? She looked at me with a sad look on her face. I have many names, but you can call me Kurama. I am what people call a biju, and I was in your mother when she was pregnant with you. To others you are a monster, but to me you will always be my precious little boy. You don't need to fear me, cause I love you just like any mother loves her child. She touched my head and began to run her fingers through my hair. I had to admit it felt nice. Naruto, your parents were ninja, and I know people will often try to blame you for something we couldn't control. So I will teach you to become strong while you are awake, but I will teach you skills to help you survive while you sleep. I didn't know what she meant at first, but as time went by I got stronger by doing what Mama Kurama taught me. I knew how to find good things to eat, how to hunt animals, and how to make clothes for myself from the furs of the animals I killed. In 2 years I sure learned many things since my training was constant. In my sleep I learned about the past of the village, and the rules they had to obey. I learned that the leader of the village was called the Hokage, and he made a law I wish others would have obeyed. The law states that if anyone calls me a demon or demon brat, that person had revealed a Class S secret, and by doing so he or she betrayed the Hokage and the village. The punishment for breaking the law was immediate execution. I couldn't count with both hands the number of times the matron broke that law, so in my own view I was done being called a demon or demon brat. I would no longer run and hide from the mobs that wanted to harm me. I instead would wait patiently for them to find me, and if they did break this law I would not hold back. I would make them suffer as I would carry out the punishment. It didn't take long for a mob to try to harm me. I used the training Mom taught me, and it must have come to the idiots as quite the surprise. I waited for them to make the first move. Finally we will avenge the death of the 4th Hokage, and the innocent people this demon has killed. One after another kept trying to beat me up while calling me a demon or demon brat. It was not long before every member of the mob did call me that. As they became impatient since I managed to evade or outright counter all their attacks, they decided to use weapons against me. The first was a Kodachi. I stopped the fool's attack and took his weapon from him. I then stopped holding back my strength and skills with the blade. I cut the idiot's head off and proceeded to now attack the mob that had been trying to kill me. In less than an hour 7 men were dead and I was covered in their blood from my head to my feet. The last of the mob was looking at me as I walked up to her. She dropped to her knees and did something I never expected. She began to beg that I show her mercy. Please forgive me. I am sorry that I tried to harm you. Please, I beg you, let me live. I am the only daughter of an old couple. Without me they will not survive. Please don't kill me. I looked at her and with sword in hand decided to explain something to her. You broke the law of the 3rd Hokage regarding a very high secret. You called me a demon or demon brat no less than 5 times as you and your fellows attacked me. She admitted that she indeed called me such things, but she had no idea that she was breaking any laws. I walked over to her, and as I raised the sword I told her that ignorance of the law was no defense. I killed her and left her dead body much like the rest of the mob. I continued to do this, and every time the mob tried to kill me, I waited till the members of the mob to call me that again. Once they broke the law I would show them no mercy, and left their dead bodies where they dropped before going back to my den in the forest near the village. It was until my 8th birthday that I was visited by a rather unexpected guest. The guy had white hair that seemed to stand straight up. He wore the typical armor of a jounin, but the weird thing was he had one eye covered with his headband. I knew that eventually the people that tried to kill me would hire a ninja to do the thing none of the previous mobs could. I knew I should expect anything good from the people of the village, but this was the first visitor to my den since I could remember. I kept on hiding in the dark parts of my den waiting to hear him say those words that they all calmed me. I waited and waited, but he just looked through my den almost like he was looking at my things. Naruto, I know you are there. I came to have a little talk with you. Why don't you come out of hiding? I was sent by the Hokage to find out why you've been attacking those people of the village. I won't harm you, I promise. But I really would like to hear your reasons for doing that. You know you made a lot of people suffer because you did that. I didn't come out, instead I decided to answer him from the shadows. Why should I care? They gather in mobs and tried to kill me. I killed them, but they broke the law. They called me that which was punishable by death. Why can't you and the villagers let me live in peace? It's just me and my mother, but you people only want to hurt or kill me. Naruto, why don't you come out of hiding? I promise I will not hurt you. I kept looking at him. I told him I had no reason to trust a man who was obviously sent to kill me. I saw him put down every weapon he had on him on the floor of my cave. See, Naruto, I am not going to hurt you. Come out, we can talk with each other. Help me understand what you've been through. The Hokage is not an unreasonable sort. Tell me what has happened to you and I promise the Hokage will make it all better. I looked at him and knew he was after something. Nobody except Mom has ever shown any concern about my well-being. I have no reason to tell you or trust you. I didn't invade your home now, did I? Now I wasted enough time and I need to hunt for my food. I continued to sneak through the shadows of my den till I made it to the entrance. That is where the intruder was blocking my only way out. I am not leaving till you at least talk with me or agree to come with me to meet the Lord Hokage. I didn't feel like doing either, but if I wasted more time the best prey would be gone from my usual hunting grounds. I came out of hiding with my hand close to my blade. Then lead the way, but once your Hokage has told me what he wants. I don't want you to invade my den again. I followed him through the rooftops as we made it to the window that led to a rather impressive office. A very strange dressed man was seated in an armchair behind a massive desk. I jumped in through the window and glared at him. So nice of you to visit, Naruto. To what do I owe the pleasure of your little visit? I glared at the scarecrow-haired fool and then at the supposed Hokage. I was told you had something to discuss with me by the rude intruder of my den. So tell me what you want and let me get something to eat. I didn't come here to visit as much as I don't like people coming into my den uninvited. The old man smiled at me and I knew he was trying his best to calm me down. Naruto, I would like to ask you, why have you killed all those civilians? I know that you could have beaten them up or outright outrun them. So I need to know, why did you kill them? I looked at him, still glaring at him. I have committed no crime. It is within the law you made that states should anyone reveal that S-class secret, he or she is a traitor to you and to the village. The punishment set in that law is immediate execution. They called me a demon and demon brat. They all broke the law and so they must die. The old man began to shake his head as he heard what I said. He looked at me and then at the intruder. Naruto, why aren't you in the orphanage like I've been told you were? You should have a safe place to live there and 3 square meals a day at the very least. Why do you live in a cave in the forest of death? I looked at him and at my blade. I was expecting an ambush, and I was not foolish enough to think that it wouldn't happen. They tried to kill me for a long time, 3 years if my mother is correct. They couldn't do it, so they left me to die in a dumpster behind a local restaurant. I've been training with mother ever since, and no one provided me with anything. I hunt for my food and made my own clothes. He didn't like the sound of this one bit from how he slammed his fist on his desk. Naruto, it seems I've been misled by some people. I am sorry you had such a harsh life till now. I would like to make it up to you. I will provide you with a much nicer place to live, some clothes and some better gear. Furthermore, I will allow you to go to the academy. You can make friends there, and you will have a chance at a better life. I looked at him, and knew that he was not doing this out of any sense of remorse. I looked at him and asked him what would he get out of this. He laughed as he picked up his pipe. I hope that once you become a ninja of this village, people will stop breaking the law and you will stop killing them. So tell me, do you accept? I looked at the walls and knew from the scent I was clearly outnumbered, as if I had a choice to rejecting your offer. I know when I am surrounded, and you clearly don't plan to let me leave without accepting your demand. Since I have accepted, can you tell your men hiding behind those walls to leave? I still have to hunt myself a meal, not that I will find anything good this late in the day. The old man put down his pipe and walked towards me. I guess I will go with you to buy some things you will need and show you your new apartment. I do hope you like ramen. I happen to know your mother loved it. I waited to walk next to him as we left his. I don't know what you are talking about, old man. My mother Kurama never even mentioned the stuff you call ramen. Chapter 2. This is a Naruto fanfiction only. I had to agree with the old man that the stuff they called ramen was tasty. The way the entire dish sort of fit together was nice. The noodles were moist but not soggy. The vegetables had a bit of firmness but also the flavor of the broth, and much to my delight it wasn't as greasy or salty as I first expected. I had one bowl and that was it. I didn't want to seem like I was mooching off the old man. The shopping could have gone better in my opinion. If the old man had not been there, I swear they would have either thrown me out, or did something that would make me do something that would cause some sales positions to be in need of employees. The next thing I didn't like was the fact that he had a big guy pull and cut my fur. I know the fur on my head is long, and it probably will never be as soft as Mom's is. I still didn't like the way he was yanking it and cutting it like that. I was tempted in doing the same thing to him, and leave him as bald as a coconut. Naruto, I know you don't like to have your hair cut, or at least I think you don't like it by the way you are acting. Trust me, this will make you look presentable when you go for the first time to the academy. You want to make a good first impression, don't you? I tried very hard to try and be civil with him, if only to make Mom proud. Chances are no matter what I do, the teachers and the other kids are going to hate my guts. Just like everyone in this place. He placed his hand on my shoulder and smiled a smile I had only seen Mom do. Well, you can be sure of one thing, Naruto. I don't hate you at all. I tried really hard to stop myself from screaming at him, calling him a liar, again just to make Mom proud of me. When we got to the apartment, I could only say one thing. This place made me appreciate my den like never before. My den was comfortable, spacious, and looked a whole lot better than the place he calls an apartment. The bed looked like not even a hobo would use it as a toilet. The floor had so many stains and disgusting smells that made me wish I didn't have my keen senses. Old man, are you sure I can't go back to live in my den? 'Cause this place is not exactly what you call homey, if you can see where I am coming from. This place makes my den look like a palace suite. He just looked at me and smiled. Let me ask you something, and please be honest with me like you have been. You are defending your cave home against this? In that cave you are quite literally surrounded by hundreds of creatures that would love to have you as a snack. Everything that surrounds you pretty much can or wants to kill you. I decided to what he asks and decided to ask him to look out the window. So in the forest there are hundreds of creatures that want me dead, right? Tell me, is there that much difference in that regard in this place? I am still surrounded by hundreds of creatures that not only want to kill me, but want to make it as painful as possible. Where exactly is the benefit of living in the village at all? He laughed as I finished saying that. You might think there isn't, but trust me, Naruto, there is. Here you will make lifelong friends and have wonderful experiences, adventures. Even could actually find the one person who will love you and be by your side most of your life. And no, I am talking about someone besides of your fox mother figure. I quickly went inside my mind to talk with Mom. For some odd reason Mom was in a rather bad mood when I got there. Mom, did I do something to upset you? She smiled at me and had me sit close to her like we often did. No, my boy, you done nothing but make me feel proud of you. It's that stinking human that upset me. He had the nerve to say I am just a mother figure to you. The fool doesn't realize that I am as much your mother as if I gave birth to you. I smiled at her and asked her since when did we care what the humans called us. She had to admit that I was right and we shouldn't let their words bother us as much. So Mom, is there really any purpose in me going to their supposed academy? I know pretty much all I need to be a ninja. You taught me since I can remember. She looked at me and smiled while placing her head on my lap. That's my boy already looking for possible traps. I think you are right. They consider me nothing but a weapon for years. If I were to guess, they are sending you to keep an eye on us rather than teach you. Son, I told you many times that when dealing with humans, never take anything at face value. Always look for hidden purposes and plots. Look under the underneath of the underneath so they never catch unprepared or unawares. I thanked for always caring, and she gave me a kiss on my cheek before I left my mind. I looked at the old man and told him I would give him the benefit of a doubt. I would give this place, this so-called academy, a chance. I did, however, need to make one thing personally clear. Listen, old man, I will attend your school and even live in this place. I will, however, kill anyone regardless of age or gender should they call me anything in the way of demonic. Call me demon or demon boy, and you better prepare that fool's funeral. I got no pity, and mercy is not something I keep in stock. He tried over and over to get me to promise to leave the fools alive, that he would talk to them and the situation with them would be taken care of. I just gave him a look of sheer killing intent that made my position clear. I was done being their punching bag, and if they break the law they would be punished. No pity or mercy would be given since I never expected from them anyways. The next day I dressed in my school clothes, which were your standard genin armor and clothes. I didn't bother with happy-go-lucky colors, I went with traditional all black. People might say that I was dressed like I was going to a funeral, and if they broke the law they were right about the funeral. The academy was not what I would call very welcoming. A couple of the secretaries out front pretty much told me to get lost or go in a hole and die. Much to my dismay, they didn't actually break the law, which means that as much as I would love to kill them, I really couldn't. I walked towards my assigned room, after looking at the public school roster. I don't know why they put so many kids of the so-called noble clans in my class. It's like they were begging me to reduce the population of their clans. I told the old man about what would happen if they break the law. I saw a rather friendly-looking teacher. He had brown hair, but what really made his face stand out was the large horizontal scar right across his face. I waited for him to introduce me, but seeing the glares from so many of my classmates, it was pretty clear to me that introductions were a moot point. Class, we have a new student joining our happy little classroom. He is Naruto, and he is the last of the Uzumaki clan. Naruto, why don't you take the empty seat, the one in front of Sasuke? Sasuke, put your hand up so he can find you. There was something weird about this supposed guy. The way he put up his hand was almost delicate, and for a minute there I thought gay. I walked over to the seat, and just my luck there was a guy wearing a hoodie, and had a puppy lying down on top of this guy's head. I looked in his direction and smiled. Glad to meet you, neighbor. Hope we get along and work well together. The guy turned around and glared at me like I was a bug he wanted to crush. He just sneered at me. Don't bother talking to me, clanless fool. I don't want the others thinking I am as weak and worthless as you. I could have insulted right back, but that is not the way my mom raised me. I began pretending to clean my right ear and looked at him like I didn't even care he was there. You say something? For the record, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the guy seated on top of you. The name's Naruto and you are? The puppy barked a little bit, and I realized he had quite the interesting accent. Akamaru, nice name, pleased to meet you. Everyone looked at me and Akamaru as we both started to bark, growl and howl at each other. This made the guy he was seated on royally pissed. Akamaru was telling some rather funny stories about the guy who was named Kiba. Sorry Akamaru, as funny as your stories are, looks like class is about to start. How about we continue our chat during recess? I guess the old man was right after all. My first day in class and I already made a good friend. Other than the fact that I made a friend, the class was pretty boring. Let's face it, my mom made the same stuff at least 1,000 times more interesting. I had a hard time staying awake hearing about what happened in wars that took place decades or more ago. I learned all this stuff when I was 4 years old, for crying out loud. I sometimes failed and began to take a nap. My reward was Iruka throwing a piece of chalk hitting me right between the eyes. He then asked me a question that he believed would be impossible for me to answer. I of course knew the answer to that question since this was more like a review than an actual lesson for me. I answered the question and much to his obvious discomfort I got the question right. Well, at least you are paying attention, or should I say you are learning while you nap? I simply couldn't let such a comment go. You are teaching stuff I learned when I was 4 years old. Instead on just focusing on the actions of the Hokage, why don't you tell us how these actions influence the actions of the other villages? I mean, if his actions are so powerful they must have widespread consequences. Take the actions of the 4th Hokage. By using his Flight of the Thunder God technique, one village to this day wishes for the destruction of this village, and have a hatred that lasted years. He only used one technique to win a battle and save his fellow ninja, but the consequences are felt even today. The others in my class were looking at me like I had gone completely nuts. Iruka on the other hand was clapping as he heard me say such things. As a teacher, it is always a joy to see a student that goes beyond what he or she is expected and really tries to understand the class subject. Well done, Naruto. Chapter 3. This is a Naruto fanfiction only. I came to understand the way the classes were structured pretty quickly. Iruka was responsible for all thing that was theory or on a book. Mizuki, who for some odd reason I disliked more of the two teachers, was responsible for physical skills. I hated Iruka's class because he was pretty much only teaching me what I already knew. I hated Mizuki's class because for me it was so easy that I felt it was a total waste of time. In our sparring matches I either fought against Kiba, Choji, or Lee. The other students for some odd reason avoided me like I had a contagious disease. Naruto, it's more than likely they heard what you did to those in the last mob from their parents. They must have told them to avoid you since they either consider you unworthy or too dangerous for them to fight. Naruto nodded his head as he heard his mother's wise words. The days came and went, and so did the times. He was told by Mizuki not to be a show-off. A few days before our first final exam, Iruka and Mizuki decided to give us all a refresher series of classes. I did as always, I pretended to take a nap. Meanwhile I got real lessons from my mother. Kiba was actually taking a nap, if his snoring was any indication. Akamaru was paying attention, and so were my good friends Shino, Choji, Lee and Shikamaru. I decided that we sort of formed an unofficial school club. It was on paper a shogi club which would help our development of a strategic mindset. In truth, it was me tutoring my good friends to ensure they were as trained as I was. This at first was suggested by my mother since it was within the realm of possibility that some of them could end up in my genin team. Later it was rather fun to have our little secret study group. Choji benefited from learning my mother's physical training regime, Lee from her physical endurance and agility training. Shikamaru got a bit of training about the human mind and how a distraction could benefit or harm. Shino got some help to communicate and get along better with his bugs, which much to my surprise had a wicked sense of humor. I got the grade I was expecting on my final exam. I was officially the dead last in the class. No real surprise there. I did try to become friends with Sasuke, but that proved to be almost impossible. The reasons why it was so hard came in the form of two of my classmates, Ino, the daughter of a local flower shop family, and Sakura, the daughter of a very influential lady in the civilian council. I walked over to him every day and tried my best to be friendly as mother suggested. Hey Sasuke, would you like to join our shogi club? I am sure everyone would benefit from having you play with us. As I finished saying that I began counting down from 3 in my head, and sure enough there was what I expected. Naruto, my Sasuke would never join your worthless little gang. You should learn to mind your place, you worthless clanless fool. My Sasuke is simply too good to even talk to a worthless worm like you. Well, Sakura was as annoying as ever, and hearing what came next was probably as bad. He is not your boyfriend, billboard brow. You should heed your own advice and stay away from my Sasuke. Honestly, these two screaming at each other every day makes me wonder if they need someone to take them to see a mental health professional. I only had classes with them for a year, and I already consider both to be nuts. As I walked home I noticed that someone was following me. I jumped up on the roof and caught my stalker by surprise. He didn't expect me to be able to use chakra techniques. Not that I mind the company, but could you at least give me a name, and why you've been following me home every day? He looked at me and I could already feel his apathy towards me. I am called Dog and I am a member of ANBU, as you can obviously tell. The reason is to make sure no one breaks the law and you end up killing a few dozen idiot civilians. The Hokage has me being your shadow every minute you are awake. Guess the old man really wanted to make sure I didn't get the chance to make the idiots in this village suffer. Too bad. I was hoping to find a few idiots that are stupid enough to break the law. I haven't killed anyone in a whole year. I guess I'd better start looking for bandit camps, since my prey has been so limited. He looked at me and he threw a ninjato at me. I of course caught it like it was nothing difficult at all. I started to feel it in my hand. The grip, the weight of the blade, the edge and the balance. I threw it back and he caught it. Nice blade, good grip, nice edge, sturdy metal, good for chakra flow techniques. It's slightly unbalanced on the right side of the blade. Overall a good killing blade, too bad I can't get one myself. The damn shops won't sell me groceries, much less any piece of gear. He looked at me and asked me a couple of questions I was not expecting. Most kids dressed in fun, happy colors. But you are dressed like you are going from one funeral after another. Why is that? Why don't the shops sell you anything? Don't they like having paying customers? I glared at him and decided to answer his questions. To the first, what do I have to be happy about? This entire village wishes every day that I die. The other reason, black is a good color to hide dry blood stains. And the last, I told you this village hates me. They figure if I can't buy food I will starve. This would make killing me a lot easier on the mobs that try to kill me on my birthday. Anything else, dog? Or can I go home? I still have to hunt in the forest to get something for dinner. Since he didn't say anything, I went home and got my backpack and a few kunai. Seeing that everything was in good condition, I ran jumping from rooftop to rooftop, heading straight to the forest. Once inside the forest, a deep part of me felt happy. I truly felt like I was home and couldn't help but to smile as I walked around the forest. Out of nowhere, a large panther jumped out of a tree and tackled me down. She began rubbing her head on mine. Sumi, you sure grew up since last I saw you. So tell me, how are your folks? I hope your brothers and sisters are alright. Dog came down next to us and looked at us as if I was crazy. Sumi told me her folks were just fine. Her mom was getting over a bit of a sprained leg, but other than that they were fine. I stopped my conversation with my childhood friend and looked at Dog. Look, Dog, don't you dare harm my childhood friend or her family. I guess she was hunting for dinner too. Dog didn't understand why was I so friendly with the big feline. Naruto, you do realize that panther could easily kill you, right? How can you call that panther your childhood friend? I once again glared at him till he put his weapon away. I don't expect you to understand, you are human after all. I grew up in my den with Mom, and her den was a few hundred feet from ours. We were neighbors, you could say. We grew up knowing each other, and we are good friends. Her name is Sumi, by the way. I heard Sumi tell me if I was out hunting too. She said that if I was to be careful, a giant snake invaded the forest a few months ago, and it has been making it hard for her and her family to hunt. I understood that as being the reason her mother sprained her leg. Just tell me where the big bad snake is at and I will get rid of it. That way your mom won't get hurt like she got hurt avoiding that snake. Sumi looked at me with a concerned look on her face. She told me it's beneath the old tree we used to try and outclimb each other. I took off towards that tree. Of course it would like that old tree. That tree survived getting hit by lightning, a forest fire and a drought. It was one of the oldest trees in the forest, and thus had the softest soil to take a nap on. I ran through the forest and felt truly alive. I could never get this feeling in the village. It must be because this place felt more like home. Dog was keeping up with me, and considering what he was, I shouldn't be that surprised. I walked up a tree and jumped from branch to branch till I could see the large snake below me. I don't know who you are or why you are here, but since you are in a place I care about, I am going to ask you, who are you? And why are you here? The snake gave me a very smug look and tried to reach where I was. Seeing that she couldn't, she looked at me with quite the glare. The summoner of my clan ordered me to come here and keep an eye on the last of the Uchiha. Since I couldn't return home, I hunted what I could to sustain myself, and do as I was ordered. I jumped down to look at her straight in her eyes. You scared the preferred prey of my friends. I would highly suggest you leave this forest and never return, or you might make me do something regrettable. She must have thought that I was bluffing because she didn't make any indication that she was indeed leaving any time soon. Mom told me she approved as she knew what I was planning. I dropped on all fours and began to growl something fierce. I could feel the skin on my face peel off as I took off all my clothes and armor. I felt my mouth and head begin to change shape, and on my rear I could feel my tails growing. As I glared at the snake, I saw myself on her eyes. I was in my complete nine tails form, and I must say it felt great to fully use my senses. Leave now, little snake, or I will kill you, skin you, roast you and eat you as a snack. Don't think I am bluffing, for a nine-tailed fox never threatens, we make promises. Something about me made the snake suddenly disappear, and to me she looked like she was running away for her life. I slowly changed back to human form, and I waited a few seconds for my body to heal before I put my clothes and armor back on. Dog didn't seem happy by what he saw. He jumped down to where I was getting dressed with his ninjato in hand. So the suspicions of the people turned out to be true. You really are the Nine Tails Reborn. Why did you attack our village, fox? I couldn't help but to laugh at him. Dog, you really need to be careful. You almost broke the law, and you know what I do to people that break that law. To answer your question, I am a nine-tails fox, but sadly I was born when mother was forced to attack your village. I saw my hand return to human form, which was a form that made finishing getting dressed much easier. Mom said that a man with only one Sharingan threatened to kill me, her sister, and her husband should she decide not to attack the village. It was a lie. He killed her sister and her brother-in-law. This was all done with a particularly nasty genjutsu, it seems. Dog put his ninjato away and sat down where I was. Normal snakes don't talk, that means she was a summon beast. There are only 2 known snake summoners that we know of, Anko Mitarashi and Orochimaru the snake Sannin. I didn't mean to threaten you, but my family was killed during the attack I just mentioned. I looked at him and tried to act calm. Yours and many others. They wouldn't hate me as much unless that was the case. Stupidity, however, is no defense against the law. You should warn the Hokage about the possible danger the last Uchiha faces. If Orochimaru is behind this, it must be something that he plans to use to destroy this village. Chapter 4. This is a Naruto fanfiction only. The second year of training was starting today, and maybe that was the reason why I suddenly felt like I should just sleep in today. It was a good idea on my part, but Mom was having none of that. No school, then no training. No training means my time with my sweet and caring mom would be cut short. That is why I dressed in less than half a minute and was running over the rooftops with a piece of jerky in my mouth as my only breakfast. Dog, of course, was there, and since I figured he was there, he took the habit of running besides me. Morning, Dog. Beautiful day, isn't it? I must caught him by surprise. He nearly slipped and missed the jump between rooftops. Well, someone is in a good mood. I wanted to tell you I told the Hokage about everything that happened in the forest, and I mean everything. I kept eating my breakfast as he said that, so I am guessing I have a meeting with him after school lets out. While I am trying hard not to fall into a coma in class or try not to kill my sparring partner, you tell the old man that I will see him as soon as I can. Be sure to tell his secretary to take a coffee or lunch break. I sat down on my usual seat and looked around. Akamaru was half asleep. Choji was eating something besides chips. Shino was having a lively chat with 3 of his bugs. Sasuke looked like was eating something sour, and Shikamaru was staring out the window looking at the clouds. Iruka was not even noticed as he began to take class roll. The lesson again was something Mom taught me already, so it was back to pretending to take a nap and actually get a lesson on something new from my mother. It was a pretty nice lesson too by the looks of it. It was a lesson on pressure points, locations, and effects. I was practicing them on a pretty dummy when I felt someone tried to do something to me. I immediately opened my eyes and out of sheer instinct I hit pretty hard a pressure point. I heard a loud thud and I opened my eyes to see Sakura unconscious on the floor holding something in her hand. It appears that she was going to draw or write something on my face. After a few minutes she got up with what I could only guess was a massive headache if her face was any indication. Sorry Sakura, I guess I moved in my sleep and hit you. Too bad too, since I was having such a nice nap. Iruka decided to ask me how many ways can a person be killed with just a hand. I answered his question and I guess I was right because he didn't punish me for not paying attention. Sasuke kept staring at me as I sat down after answering the question. So did you have a dream? I turned around and saw Shikamaru smiling at me. I was tempted to deny that I had any dreams, but then I got an idea. I would tell him of one of my old dreams that I could never forget. Sure did, and in it I saw a beautiful lady. She had long black hair and charcoal color eyes. Her figure was exquisitely beautiful, as she had the figure most women dream of. She had soft as silk skin and equally soft voice. The strange thing is she was dressed in the clothes of a ninja and not a kunoichi. She said, "My love will be yours always." Then I heard a thud and woke up. I sure wanted to find out why she was wearing the clothes and armor of a man. Too bad I woke up. I might have gotten to hear her name. Everyone who heard me laughed as they heard me tell my friend my dream, but not him. You might not believe me, Naruto, but you just had a vision of someone very dear to you. For some odd reason Sasuke was glaring at me as I heard Shikamaru say that to me. Why in the world did Sasuke become upset after I told my friend my dream? It's not like it affects him in any way. It was a dream after all. Our practical classes began, and this time Mizuki divided us in 3-member squads. I was possibly in the worst squad possible. On the right I had Sakura, who was more interested in trying to seduce Sasuke than do anything at all. On my left was Sasuke, who, since I shared what I saw in that dream, he pretty much did everything to make me fall on my face in failure. As the weeks went on and the teamwork was basically non-existent, I decided to have a talk with Sasuke, since Sakura wouldn't listen even to save her own life. I knew that Sasuke liked to take baths in the public bathhouse since he lived a short distance from it. Late at night I went there to have a discussion about what was his problem with me. I got in the men's area by jumping over the outside wall. I couldn't find Sasuke anywhere in the bath area. I used the transformation technique and pretended to be a woman going to the public bathhouse. As soon as I entered I saw that there was something weird on the registry. It said that only one woman was inside and her name was Saomi Uchiha. That's weird. Itachi killed every member of the clan except for Sasuke. Might as well see who is pretending to be an Uchiha. As I walked in I heard that voice from my dream from the other side of the door leading to the open-air bathing area. Damn that dope. I nearly lost my transformed form when he said about that dream. This water feels nice. It's sure stressful to pretend to be a guy so long. That made me realize one thing. Sasuke was supposed to be a regular chick magnet, yet he turned them all down, and not only fellow students either. Maybe the Sasuke I know is a fake identity and this soft-spoken girl is my classmate. But why pretend at all? Why register in the academy under a fake identity? I walked into the bath and did something I wish I hadn't done. I guess I was distracted by trying to figure this whole thing out. I walked in and smiled at the girl in the warm water and said something I didn't realize it was a mistake till it was too late. Nice night for a relaxing bath, so tell me Sasuke, how's the water? She jumped out of the water and before I could do anything she grabbed me and threw me in the water. I hit one of the rocks pretty hard and must have lost consciousness. Next thing I know I am placed in a relaxing sitting position and she is running her fingers through my hair. You know something dope, I never would have believed you'd be the one to figure out my secret. Guess I rejected too many date requests. So Naruto, why did you sneak in here for? Are you a pervert or did you gave something so important to talk to me about? I kept looking at the sky, there was something relaxing about how she was touching my head. It almost felt like when Mom used to sign me a lullaby. Not much Sasuke, I wanted to know what your beef was against me. It pretty much makes teamwork impossible, and I don't know about you but I want to pass this grade. She stopped touching my hair and jumped in the water to stand right in front of me. You embarrassed me when you said that stuff about that dream and Shikamaru saying it was a vision. Any girl would be upset after hearing such a thing and being embarrassed like that. The name is not Sasuke, my name is Saomi. So what do you want to keep my secret? I looked at her and couldn't help but to smile at her. How about you work with me to improve our teamwork? Like I said, I want to pass the next finals. What's with the look, Saomi? She looked to me like a dazed deer after seeing a flashbang tag bomb go off. For a minute there I was thinking you would ask me to be your love slave, seeing how perverted you are. I had to dunk my head in the water to hide my blushing face. I got out of the water and looked at her before changing back into what I looked like before she threw me like she did. I respect women too much to ever even think of asking something like that. If I am going to make love it must be willingly. I left the public bath and began to walk towards my crappy apartment. I stopped a block away from it. I saw the now transformed Saomi looking like Sasuke again. You need something, team? I don't think I invited the king of emos to my place. I was doing my best to act like nothing had changed between us. She looked a little surprised for a second and immediately began to act like she did in the academy. Figure we need to talk about your crappy teamwork, dope. I am an Uchiha elite and I don't plan to get held back a year because of your crappy teamwork. I figured to save time and my good reputation we might decide on a schedule so we can work in your lousy teamwork. I pretended to look upset as I continued walking to my place. Well, might as well come to my place. Last thing I want is for people think I associate with you, team. We can yell at each other once we get to my place. I opened the door for her, and she pretended not to even care. I walked in and closed the door. We first needed to talk about why she pretends to be a guy, and how we would improve our teamwork enough that Sakura won't be a problem for our team. So just to be clear, do you prefer Sasuke or Saomi? He changed back to her true form and was seated on what once could be called a rug. She looked at me and pretty much gestured for me to sit in front of her. If you can keep a secret, Saomi, when we are alone. Sasuke, in class or in public. The reason why I pretend to be a guy shouldn't be too hard for anyone to understand. As the last Uchiha in the village, the council would have me impregnated as soon as possible, and have me giving birth to as many babies as I can before dying during childbirth. She honestly didn't look happy when she said that. No self-respecting woman wants to be treated as a baby-making machine. Don't get me wrong, I do want to have some kids in the future, but I want to build a home, family and life with a strong, capable ninja that can respect me as an equal and loves me. I guess I understood where she was coming from. My mom told me how she had been used as a mere object or a weapon in her past. Don't you worry, Saomi, I totally understand what you mean. As for teamwork, how about we meet in my old den and work together there? It's pretty spacious and nobody goes there. Well, nobody except a few friendly neighbors and Anko. She looked a bit worried when she heard me mention my neighbors. I told her it was a family of panthers that were my friends. That was prompted her to ask me where exactly was my den. My den is in a wonderful cave in the deep end of the forest near the village. They call it the Forest of Death, but honestly my den makes this place look like a garbage dumpster. I hunt for all my food there, and there are so many fruits and nuts in the area I never buy any food. The stores won't sell me any anyways. She sat next to me and placed her hand on my shoulder. That is something I've been meaning to ask you. Why does the people of our village hate you so much? Mom had a rather wicked idea, or so I came to understand. Naruto, help her enter your mind. I am sure after we three talk she will understand. I told her to place her hand on my skin and close her eyes. As she did, I guided her with me to the place in my mind Mom lived. I guess I shouldn't be surprised she was in her fox form when we got there. It was pretty funny how she screamed and hid behind my back. That's impossible. We both learned in history how the fourth killed the Kyuubi no Yoko when it first attacked the village. I took hold of her and told her it was alright. That my mom would not harm us, or at least not without a reason. Your history is incorrect. I have lived for decades in the village inside my second Jinchuriki. I was often treated as a weapon, but she treated me as a sister. I was inside her when she carried Naruto, and thus I felt everything she did. I suffered the pain of childbirth, and love him as a mother does. Naruto is my son. I never wanted to attack the village. A masked man threatened to kill Kushina, her husband, and Naruto if I didn't let him take me out of my sister. When outside, he placed me in a genjutsu. By the time I regained consciousness, he was gone. My sister was dead. He spoke to Hiruzen Sarutobi as I saw the damage and dead of the village. Fearing for the safety of my son, I jumped into him to protect him and raise him as any mother would want to raise their son. I don't know what Minato said to the third Hokage, but I did listen to the law that was made to protect him. The fools believe my son is my reincarnation and thus the reason for their hatred of him. Mom began to sob as I could tell she felt guilty about the suffering and hate I had endured. Chapter 5. This is a Naruto fanfiction only. I just figured that we would train together to work better together. I had no idea that she meeting my mom would have this result. I am standing watching a conversation that any other time would really upset me. Saomi was talking to Kiba in her disguised form. That didn't upset me, it was what she and Kiba were talking about. Kiba, we both know you hate the dope's snoring. It's liable to distract anyone, and you think it's interfering with your studies. So here is a deal you will love. Switch seats with me. I am an Uchiha elite, so the dope won't bother me in the slightest. Hell, I could probably nap like him and still pass. I knew Kiba didn't like me much, but I guess I was a little sad that I wouldn't be able to chat with my buddy Akamaru as much anymore. But this was part of Mom's idea to improve my teamwork with her, so I had to take this seriously. In the end, Sasuke Uchiha ended up seated right next to me. The plan was simple but not without cost. I would go and learn from Mom, but Saomi would pretend to try and wake me up by shaking me. In truth, she was going to be given lessons by a shadow clone of Mom. She didn't look particularly happy that she would have to catch up to me, but then again I had lessons with Mom much longer than her. The cost that I was talking about came from either an attempt by Sakura to punch me or Ino trying to embarrass me with gossip she spread about me. In truth, our teamwork did get better as time went on, and even with Sakura's obsessive attempt to make Sasuke hers, we passed to the final exam. Once again I was given the same title as the year before. Yes, I was named the dead last of our class for 2 years in a row. I just was so upset that I decided to go to the forest and walk up and down a rock wall that was at the back of the mountain where they carved the head sculptures of the Hokages. I really hated that no matter how well I did in both the practical and written test, I was given a barely passing grade. I suspected Mizuki, since he was always mad after the exams. I guess he expected me to fail. Mom, is this going to be the norm? I do my best but end up getting the worst grades in my class and basically be treated as an idiot? This thing is 6 years long. You mean I have to put up with till I graduate, or should I say if I graduate? For some odd reason Mom was laughing at my little outburst. In the end, son, it doesn't matter. We both know that is not the case, and look at the upside. You get to spend more time with that Saomi girl. I was so caught by surprise as she made that comment I nearly fell down the wall. I immediately went inside my mind to clear up the misunderstanding. Mom read my lips. I am not in love with her. She laughed and pointed a finger at me. Naruto, I am your mother. Nobody knows you better than I. As for not being in love, those blushing cheeks say otherwise. Look, son, you can lie, deceive, trick and even manipulate other people, but you will never be able to with me. I'm your mother, so drop the act. We both know you really like her. Otherwise you would never introduce her to me. So tell me, son, what are you afraid of? I couldn't lie to her, that was always true. I looked at her and couldn't help but to cry. She needs to be strong to defend herself if her secret is discovered. The truth always comes out. The thing that scares me is what if they try to kill her because I like her? I don't think I'd be able to control myself if that happens. She walked over to me and pulled me close. Ah, my boy. There is nothing to cry about. You're my baby boy, and the sad truth is death will come to her eventually. You got so little time to spend with her, and you are not spending time with her for fear of her getting hurt? You're a fox, Naruto, you are more cunning than that. She kissed my head and I knew she was right. Once my body finishes growing up, aging was not a concern for me. She told me it was a side effect of growing up on her chakra as a baby. That was also the reason why I could turn into a fox. A fox is born with one tail. For the element he is born having mastery of. My first element was fire, and growing up I mastered control of 8 others. 5 elements that everyone knows of, and for nobody ever considers. Void, light, dark, and soul are those last 4 elements, but I always had a feeling there was another one. I could imagine time was also there, but I could never even begin to manipulate time, so mastery of it was almost impossible. A fox of my family gains a tail for each element we master, and thus I am a 9-tails fox. She was right, I can't let fear control me. I just need to be more cunning than they are. I finished getting dressed and went to the academy to start my 3rd year. I pretty much gave up walking on the ground since I found only hate-filled glares to grate me. I went through the air running and jumping from rooftop to rooftop. I entered my classroom to find it empty. I sat down in my usual seat and decided to get an early start with the lessons from my mom. The lesson was in seals, and more specifically the use of seals in combat. I never knew that the drawings I was taught to draw in my infancy were all to prepare me for this. Next thing I knew, Saomi was in my mind and I knew that the class had started. So Naruto, is it just my imagination or do you actually hate both of my stalkers? I don't know whether I should feel flattered, concerned or worried. I would be careful if I was you. They say the distance between love and hate is less than a single hair. I nearly fell down realizing what she said implied. Don't like gossip, or those that spread it. I also don't like girls that think it's okay to date someone for their benefit only. This pretty much makes Ino and Sakura incompatible with me. I continued learning as mom taught me so rather interesting things. Saomi was learning from a shadow clone of Mom. As we were on our break, she was sitting right next to me as we sat under the shade of a large tree. So Naruto, I guess this might sound weird, but do you think there will be a time when I don't have to hide my gender? It just feels wrong for both of Sakura and Ino to flirt with me. I looked at her, trying to look as calm as possible. Honestly, Saomi, I imagine it will happen when you finally have a reason not to hide anymore, or you put your foot down and tell the council you choose how many kids you will have and with whom. Those that don't like it, they could go ahead and jump off the top of the Hokage mountain for all you care. I looked at Mom and smiled at her. If they tried to force my daughter, well, I guess I would need to inform the Hokage of several vacant seats in the council. I won't let anyone take decisions about my daughter's reproductive rights. She wants to give me 1 or half a dozen grandkids, it's her choice. I don't think I said anything that was beyond common sense, but Saomi was smiling at me and Mom was doing something I only seen Lee do when he starts his monologue about the flames of youth. Yash! That's my baby boy. I couldn't be more proud to be his mother. As the physical skills part of the class began, Sasuke asked that he be paired with me, under the excuse that it was to spare the others having to spar with me. We fought against each other, and truly enjoyed it. Our skills during our team activities still had to have Sakura, but our training and classes with Mom made us able to get some impressive results. I of course had to bite my mouth shut every single time Sakura proclaimed that those results were all due to Sasuke's skills, and if I wasn't there they would be the best in our year. At the end of class I walked away towards a large rock on one of the training fields. I often thought that this rock had been made using an earth technique. I saw the large rock and began hitting the rock as hard as I could till my knuckles were covered in my own blood. This was so far the only way I could get rid of my absolute desire of beating the two loudmouths into a coma. They were the embodiment of all the hate and prejudice the village had against me. You can come out, dog, I can tell you are there. Thanks for the rock, by the way. It has proven to be a wonder stress relief tool. Dog came out from behind the nearby tree and walked towards me. You're very welcome, Naruto. Naruto, I need you to answer me honestly, do you hate Sasuke? And what do you expect your genin squad to be like? I looked at him with a dead serious expression on my face, that was reflected in his eye. No, I don't hate Sasuke as much as I should. I sometimes wish I was treated a tenth as nice as he is treated, but we both know that is never going to happen. As for my squad, they always place the top ninja, Kunoichi, and dead last in a squad. So it will be Sasuke, Sakura, and me if things continue as they have. As for what I expect life in the squad? Well, at best I will be utterly ignored because Sasuke to my instructor is a worthwhile person to teach, not me for obvious reasons. In the worst case it will be a living hell. I will get to do most of the boring things and yelled at for everything I do, blamed and punished for anything that goes wrong. I looked at the rock and then at the sky. Sometimes I wonder if I should just run away from this village. With Mom's training I would be welcomed with open arms, well, all villages except one. Dog looked at me and just leaned against the tree. So why don't you run away? I simply said that for two reasons. The first, they would send ANBU to drag me back in chains, and because Mom hated cowardly acts. I walked home running up a nearby wall and then traveling through the rooftops. I did notice that some people had made clotheslines on the roof of their apartment building. I still didn't know whether they did it for their convince or to put stuff to make it harder for me to get back home. I had to take an alternate route which placed me in a direct path through the Hyuga compound. I was not looking forward to crossing that part at all. Most branch family members and I got along just fine, but since I killed some of the main family members in the past, they tend to attack me whenever they think they can get away with it. For some reason Hinata was practically the only member of her family that treated me politely if not friendly. Thanks to my mother's training I made it across the compound by running on the wall. As soon as I made it home I felt a presence behind me. So my friend comes near my home and doesn't stop to say hello? Naruto, you should know better than to think you could sneak around in the main family compound area and think that I wouldn't see you. I turned around and tried to smile since he was a good friend of mine. Niji, honestly I had to go through that area. You see, this black cat crossed my path and I had to take the long way to get home. I am really tired after the beating theme gave me in class. Look Niji, how about we talk a little bit how you been and have a cup of tea? After that I really need a shower and go to sleep. Niji had no objection to what I proposed. I made 2 cups of tea and sat down as I handed him his. So tell me what's new in your life? I saw Niji take a sip from his cup. Not much actually. My attempts to get Tenten to notice my feelings for her have been an undeniable failure. I am pretty close to mastering the gentle fist style. How come Sasuke started to volunteer to be your spar partner for our class? I choked a little on my tea as I heard him ask that. You know that nobody wanted to spar with me. I guess the parents of our classmates told them I was a deranged psycho after they learned what I did to those muggers. Team is probably trying to seem noble. Niji continued to drink his tea and finished when I finished telling that. Well, you are actually right about your suspicions. I know for a fact that Hinata's father pretty much warned her not to fight against you or sit close to you. He only said that you were too dangerous to have as a friend. I know because I was there in the family practice room when he said it. Chapter 6. This is a Naruto fanfiction only. From time to time I jumped over the wall that is around the village, and do in fact wish that some idiot bandit, or better yet a group of them, would attack me. I could really cut loose and kill them all. I know that relishing to massacre a bunch of greedy idiots should not give me this feeling of joy. With the way the village now obey the law, how am I going to release all this pent-up anger if I don't do this? Just my luck, only 13 bandits, and some of them were so drunk I could smell it in their breath. I went back to the apartment. I had to call home disappointed. All night and not a single decent fight. Don't worry so much, son. It just means bandits are passing information between each other that being in the forest close to this village was a bad idea. Give it a few days and they will forget about it. I decided to take a bath and go to sleep on the floor. Damn if that bed was uncomfortable. I slept on a bare cave floor, and that cave floor must feel like sleeping in a cloud compared to the lousy bed that came with the apartment. I got up bright and early the next day. I ran on the rooftops, and there was even more cloth lines up here. I was in a hurry, so I said to hell with it. I just jumped over the cloth lines. It made me 10 minutes slower than my usual time. I was still alone, so I decided to do as always and pretend to take a nap. My lessons were getting more and more complex. The gravity seal on me was put on a few days ago, and boy did it take work to run and jump while pumping chakra through my legs constantly. The lessons were in fact about how to make the seal, place it, maintain it, and even upgrade it. It sure was nice that my mother was such a great teacher. I will never be able to thank her enough for all that she has done for me. Saomi was making good progress in her lessons, or so my mother told me as I finished making a new gravity seal. The theory was simple to understand. The seal increases the effects of gravity on the person who has the seal on. The increase is regulated by the level of the seal. If a seal is level 2, then that makes that person feel twice the normal gravity. The downside was if a person gets a seal, places a seal in higher levels, the seal could prove to be fatal. I turned off my seal every Sunday morning and allow my body to adjust that day. If I could say anything, is that when you turn off the seal after it has been active for a prolonged time, has some unmentioned side effects. The first time I felt like time slowed down. My speed was phenomenal, and the rush I got was almost something that words still fail to describe for me. Eventually I got used to it, so I upgraded the seal. As I got used to it, my body, much to everyone's surprise, seemed to change a little bit at a time. As the year progressed, I got stronger and stronger. For some odd reason, Irika got angry with me more and more. Choji insisted that we spar too, and so did Shino. I did my best to control myself, but sometimes I simply acted out of reflex. Damn it, Naruto! That punch really was something. You've been holding back on me. Yash! The flames of youth you kept hidden finally come out. I know Lee is my good friend, and our little shogi club has been good experience for all members, but man, did I feel embarrassed to hear him say things about his philosophy of the flames of youth. Sorry you caught me by surprise and I reacted to a potential attacker. Grab that bottle in the cabinet, yeah, the one with the purple label. Lee handed it to me and I grabbed a bit of cotton. I wet it with the liquid from the bottle. Now show me where you hurt. He showed me the left side of his chest, and sure enough a bruise was already forming. I told him to hold still while I rubbed it over the area. Naruto, mind telling me what's in that bottle? I looked at Shikamaru as I returned the bottle and disposed of the used cotton. I don't get medical treatments like you or the rest of the village. So mother taught me a bit about medicines and how to brew different things to heal myself. That purple bottle has a potion that helps heal bruises, scraps and burns. It also helps prevent infections on the skin. Niji laughed and said that I should have told them sooner. I wish I had that potion of yours after the sparring match I had with Hinata last week. You know, the one she had with me after you denied that date request again. Why don't you ever accept to date her? I closed the cabinet and turned around smiling. Niji, like I don't have enough trouble with 90% of our class hating my guts. Her father would outright take a contract on my life if I did that. Shikamaru nodded his head in agreement. Not to mention Kiba thinks she is going to be the mother of his children. So Naruto, what's in the other bottles? Orange for diarrhea, blue for indigestion or food poisoning, red for headaches, and purple, as I mentioned, bruises, scraps and burns. The purple you rub, and the rest you just need a sip and you will be fine in a few minutes. Choji asked why didn't I share how to make these with the village doctors. Because they would never use them just because they heard how to make them from me. Let's face it, Choji, these would only be useful for people that either don't want to waste chakra or aren't near a person who can heal with their chakra. These are pretty minor things considering how dangerous our life as a ninja will be. So I placed it here for club members to use. This way we can begin sparring and even begin learning elemental manipulation. But if you think it's not that useful, I will pack it up and take them back home with me. For a second there I was actually expecting them to say that I did pack it up. That was until Shikamaru nodded his head in agreement. Good thinking, Naruto. I must admit I didn't foresee that possibility. In fact, I think I will bring a few of my clan's medicines to add to our little first aid kit. It's not exactly fair that you are the only one to contribute, since it will help all of us. From that day on, each member contributed something to help the club, and I couldn't be prouder of the attitude and general consensus that we helped each other out. Most non-members flat out called us a gang, but we didn't care. We let the results speak for themselves. The council tried to shut us down, and I knew it was because of me. They finally stopped when the Hokage, NBU commander, and even members of the interrogation division would sometimes show up and play shogi with our members. To date, Shikamaru has not lost a single game to the Hokage, and the old man cheats. They say time flies when you are having fun, while it also does when you are constantly busy. I spent every minute I could either hunting for food, learning, training, or killing stupid bandits. I haven't killed a villager in a while. It seems they realized the law was not a joke. My final exam day came, and as I expected, Sasuke got top marks and I passed by the skin of my teeth. I knew that would happen and I would never get the grade I actually got, but it still made me mad. I was the dead last for 3 years in a row and I had 3 more years of this. I was liable to kill someone if that happens. Well, telling the truth, I do kill a bandit group every once in a while, but they offered me no challenge. I wanted a decent enemy for once, an enemy with whom I could go all out against. Shikamaru came to me as I sat down on the swing in front of the academy entrance. Why are you so down, Naruto? You passed. I know Kiba is going to celebrate with his family. I looked at my every lazy friend and smiled. Shikamaru, I want a decent fight. I want to fight without holding back. I sometimes feel this village is made out of paper, always having to hold back or something might break, or someone might die. The only chance I get to fight to my heart's content is either when they break a law or fighting bandits. One is more of a chore than anything else, and the other is so easy I have done it with my eyes closed. Shikamaru touched my shoulder, and I saw him shaking his head. Don't worry, my friend, once you graduate and go on missions you might find those opponents you want to fight. Just another 3 years and you will have a chance to get that which you yearn for now. As I walked through the forest I felt like someone I didn't know was watching me. This person had the distinct smell of a snake for some reason. I continued to hunt for my dinner, and every once in a while I heard this hissing coming from where this person was. I skinned, cleaned and put the meat of my dinner, and with a fire jutsu I finished cooking in a flash. I was taking a piece of it, and began eating as I turned around and spoke to my unknown stalker. You know I don't mind sharing some of this food. Why don't you come a little closer? I don't bite. A woman wearing fishnet vest and was revealing a lot of skin came out of hiding. That's not what my friend said. She said that you plan to skin her and eat the rest for dinner. I am the equally hated and feared snake mistress of Konoha, otherwise known as Anko Mitarashi. You sure I can grab a piece of that boar? I stopped eating and looked at her with a smile. I wouldn't have offered if I was not being sincere. By all means be my guest, be sure to give some to your friends too. I think I heard them argue with you about being hungry. Sure enough, 5 serpents came out of her trench coat and began eating some of the cooked meat she set down for them. This tastes great, Naruto. Who taught you how to cook and where did you find the herbs? I laughed and smiled, remembering what my mother said when she taught me how to cook. This forest is the greatest grocery store in the world. You can find anything you could possibly want to eat, herbs and spices to cook. I love this forest, it's the only place that makes me feel like I am home. She must have found that funny since she laughed as she said that. Nice to see I am not the only one that sees the beauty of this place. I followed you because I was curious, why would someone who is not even a genin come here? And why you look so relaxed? We finished the rest of the boar meat, and I was getting ready to leave when she asked me a question that made me think. If you love this forest, why haven't you signed a summon contract? I know for a fact that there are several summon beast clans in the forest. I didn't realize that there were summon beast clans in the forest. I guess it must be because I either haven't met any, they didn't introduce themselves as such, or maybe they found me unworthy to sign their summon contract. I guess they found me unworthy to sign a summon contract. I just need to keep training and getting stronger to prove otherwise. See you around, Anko. Tell Dog that he missed a meal because he was being too shy. Chapter 7. This is a Naruto fanfiction only. The beginning of my 4th year was pretty much as the year before. I was pretty sad since Mom pretty much told me to help Saomi learn what she was teaching her. I finished my training and education faster and better than my peers could ever dream of. The time in the Shogi Club made me truly love helping others get better. My training and help had made significant benefits to my fellow club members. Choji mastered the transformation technique to such an extent that he made himself look like an absolute chick magnet. Shino had a much deeper connection with his hive. They truly considered him as close as family, and the way they worked together showed this in every single of his fights. Lee learned that he needed to also strengthen his bone density and not just his muscles. I guess telling him to take better care of his diet and providing him with sound advice paid off. Now if I could get him to wear something other than spandex and stop yelling about the fires of youth. I looked at Mom as she finished teaching Saomi today's lessons. It means that we had to go outside for our physical skills training. Mom, do you have any idea why Mizuki hates me? I ace every test, so the only thing that they could possibly doctor is my physical skills scores. She smiled at me and reminded me never to take things at face value and to look underneath the underneath. I got to the class and we were throwing kunai at wooden dummies yet again. Sure, we were told where to hit, but to me at least was no different than the time Niji wanted to play darts as a training exercise. This is beyond boring. I could do this with my eyes closed. Mizuki must have heard me say that because he dropped what he was doing and came to stand next to me. So this is too easy for you. I am sorry to hear that, Naruto. I have an idea, why don't you show us what you can do? For every target you miss you do 100 push-ups, pull-ups, and squats. I just had to ask what did I get if I didn't miss any of them. I knew that by the look in his eyes he was going to say something I wouldn't like. If you don't miss any of them? Well, lunch is on me. That's right, Naruto, I will have lunch with you and pay for our meals. On the one hand, I didn't want the humiliation of missing and ending up looking like a fool, and on the other hand if I didn't miss I have a plate of that salty, fatty, food that tasted good but was not that good for me. I could practically hear Mom gagging. In the end I closed my eyes and didn't miss a single one. I was sitting right next to him as we both ate our bowl of ramen. He ordered pork ramen and I had the fish ramen. Nice throws, Naruto. I guess I will just have to make your practice harder. You should have told me it was too easy for you. I was certainly not expecting this at all. Mizuki was actually being considerate, and gave me a compliment. What was going to happen next? Pig flying, and that jackass of a godfather of mine would finally admit to being gay and decide to become a wandering Buddhist monk. Naruto, I really mean it. Those were some nice throws. I guess I should expect this from my top student. It is always a surprise to me that you end up as dead last. I guess you really must have done horrible in your written exams. Iruka often complains about how you never pay attention in class and always take naps. I ate my food quietly and decided to leave the stall before I ended up saying something I would regret. That was the plan until he said something that made me stop. You know, Naruto, I guess you don't know this, but I was actually an orphan like you. My parents died during a battle in the Third Shinobi World War. Their commanding officer and his wife adopted me. I know you don't know anything about your folk, and it's a pretty big secret. I can't tell you their names, but I can tell you had they lived you would have grown up as my baby brother. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It took Mother telling me it was true to get me over my shock. If that is the case, why were you always so demanding of me and would limit who I could spar with? It made me think that you didn't want me to pass the final exam at all. Mizuki looked at me with a totally serious look on his face. Naruto, the life of a ninja is a constant struggle. You will have to complete missions that would more than likely kill an ordinary civilian villager. If I was tough on you, it was because I believe you could handle it. If I was demanding, it was because I want you to survive. I am doing my best for you, little brother. Have a little more faith in your big brother. He finished saying that in the worst way possible. Held me in place with his arm around my neck and was messing up my hair with the knuckles on his free hand. For some reason this also made the owner of the ramen stall so happy they told us our ramen was on the house. I got home to find Dog waiting for me by my bedroom window. So Mizuki finally told you why he is extra demanding on you. It's about time he told you. If he waited another month I would tell you the reason myself. Mizuki was not the only one your parents adopted, you know. I was also adopted, but my parents died in different ways than his did. Mom died during my birth and Dad was driven to commit suicide after he failed a very important mission. I heard what he did from your dad and I still say he made the right choice. Success was only possible if he let one of his squad die. He chose to abort the mission rather than let a squad member die. People that abandon a mission are scum, but those that abandon their squad members are worse than scum. Remember that always, Naruto. One day your life may come to depend on your squad. I looked at him and began shaking my head. Dog, I train harder than any of them. I have killed and don't hesitate to do what I must. I will always train harder and harder so that I can stand for myself without depending on anyone. I might not even graduate if the teachers keep stacking my grades against me. He looked at me with a dead serious look on his eye. Even should that happen, I believe my commander would welcome you into my division with open arms. The village might not think that highly of you, Naruto, but we in ANBU have seen how you dealt with those bandits. You even rescued the hostages. We in ANBU respect your professionalism. Part of me wanted to call him a liar. Mom, on the other hand, taught me to try and be as polite as the situation called for. Dog, trust me, they will never let me graduate. How could they risk losing their favorite scapegoat? I know full well what I am considered by this village. I'm a weapon to the Hokage and the council, nothing more and nothing less. He came in and sat on my crummy sofa as I finished saying that. That is the same as all the ninja in the village, Naruto. They might treat us better, but deep down we are weapons that protect this nation. I know we think of ourselves as people on a job, some even think of themselves as sort of guardians. I began to go to my closet and prepare for the next day as he said that. I really don't care what they think of me, truth be told. I know what I am, who I am, and my own worth. I have no need for their approval, or even appreciation. I have spent nothing in their markets, and I get all the food I need from my forest home. Mention one thing this village has ever given me? Just one thing. Dog looked thoughtful for a second before I saw him get up from the sofa and looked at me. He walked near the window. He entered into this place. Life, home, and a chance for happiness. You asked for one, I gave you 3, aren't I generous? Sweet dreams, little brother. With that he left, and I must admit not even I was expecting that answer. The next morning I was once again going to school. I had no plans other than keep training and helping Saomi, as Mother kept teaching her things she already taught me. If only Mom would just call her by her name, and not daughter-in-law, sometimes it would be less embarrassing for both of us. The classes were as boring as ever, and the physical skills classes did get harder for me. Niji even complained that Mizuki was picking on me during one of our club meetings. I just had to set the record straight and tell him I asked for my practice during class to be tougher. Niji, while I do appreciate you looking out for me, I have to tell you I had to ask that the class be more difficult. I can't let myself go soft. Our lives will be as if we are walking by the edge of our kunai. We need to be tough or we will not survive. The others nodded their head and said that was why they had extra training with their respective clans. I saw that he understood that unlike the others in our club. I didn't have the benefits of having a clan to help me. As the days went on and the final exam was coming closer, I began to wonder why the hell do I try to do my best in the exams if they will always call me the dead last. That was when Mom said something that I would never forget. Everything you do reflects on me. If you do bad, it must mean I was a bad mother to you and didn't raise you correctly. I once again aced the written and passed with flying colors the practical exam. The next day I knew what was coming, but I felt like might as well get it over with. Sure enough, Sasuke was named top ninja of our year. Sakura was named top kunoichi of the year, and I was dead last once again. I went to where Ino was seating behind the counter of her family's flower shop. Tell me something, Ino. You are Sakura, spend hours working out, dieting, taking care of your hair or taking care of your skin. How is it that Sakura has been kunoichi of the year 4 years in a row? Into didn't even bother looking away from her fashion magazine. Don't know the answer to that, Naruto, and I am not crazy enough to go into that skull to find out. I am busy enough trying to get Sasuke to notice I exist. You buying something or you're just here as a pest? I looked at her and at what flowers were left on the stands. It's not like you will actually sell me anything. I tell you, it just doesn't make any sense. I am beginning to think she is sleeping with Irika, Mizuki, or both. Enjoy the rest of the magazine, Ino. There is a typo on page 6, by the way. I made it home after a nice day at the club. I was having such a bad day until I got to spend some time with my friends. Helping them get better, and seeing them improve made my bad day into a good day. They even helped me train as well. Some of the villagers may still call us a gang, but we didn't care. Our friendship was tougher than those fools ever realized. As I got ready for dinner, someone knocked at my door. No one expected the top ninja of our year to visit, and something told me she was not about to announce this. She stepped into my apartment, and she was carrying a rather large bag. As soon as she was inside, she closed all windows and even used her chakra to make sure no sound would escape. I guess she was using the privacy seal Mom taught her. Naruto, mind telling me what was that nonsense about Sakura getting top grades by sleeping with our teachers? She decided to turn off her technique, and I was seeing the real Saomi looking rather angry. I guess Ino told you about that. I guess I was planning a bit of a revenge against Sakura. Don't think I didn't notice how she tried to offer you a tainted lunchbox. If the village can use rumors to make my life a living hell, why can't I use it to protect you? I saw her anger evaporate, and a smile was on her face. So you did it for me? Well, that is different. Mind if I use your kitchen? I decided to put my cooking skills to the test and make you a wonderful dinner. You haven't eaten, have you? This was a brand new experience for me, and some uncharted territory to boot. I guess I had a bit of an internal conflict since she started cooking. On the one hand, I wanted to be honest with Saomi, but on the other, if her dish was not that tasty and I told her, it would hurt her feelings. Naruto, a relationship is based on trust. If her dish tastes bad, tell her. It might hurt a little, but you lying to her would hurt her a lot more. Trust me, I taught her how to cook. How bad could she be with me teaching her? Chapter 8. This is a Naruto fan fiction only. The next morning I woke up in a much different situation. I seem to remember Saomi cooking me dinner and then mentioning something about a dessert. That very dessert was that caused me to wake up like I did. Right next to me in the most uncomfortable bed in Konoha, I woke up with Saomi, and she had nothing on except a smile. Well, Naruto, I can tell you something. Your wife is going to be very happy in your bed, but you do tend to snore quite a bit too. Is there any chance I might get breakfast in bed? I could not get over the fact she has such a beautiful body, and she has to hide it pretending to be a guy. It just didn't make any sense. Saomi by now was more than able to take care of herself. So Saomi, do you have any idea what are we going to do when someone realizes Sasuke isn't home? She did something I would never expect. Then again, I didn't expect the dinner or her sleeping with me either. I left a shadow clone pretending to be me in my male disguise form. These people are so clueless, it's sad to think about it sometimes. More importantly, do you think I might get another chance to get another dose of what we did last night? I looked at her, and she was dead serious about the last part. I don't know how, but somehow I could feel Mom and a shadow clone of herself giving each other a high five and cheering as she asked that. Any time that we can make sure we don't end up making an unexpected order to the stork, if you know what I mean. She blushed bright red and punched me on my shoulder before laughing while covering her mouth with her hand. I wouldn't worry about that, lover boy. I happen to be a very formal lady, evidence to the contrary notwithstanding. Remember the order how things go. First comes love, then comes marriage, and lastly you push our baby in a baby carriage. So no grandkids for that fox mother of yours till I have a ring on this hand, got it? I was very happy to hear her say that. I hugged her and kissed her quite a few times. Glad to hear you say that. I don't even want to imagine how to explain Sasuke has to be absent from class for a long time due to maternity leave. We both got dressed, but not before she asked me to take a shower with her. I know as a teenager I am hormonal, but even I didn't expect us to end up doing it like a pair of dogs in heat as we took a shower together, and my apartment doesn't have a boiler. She left through the window and I followed for a bit until we both reached Sasuke's home. She must have transformed and switched with the clone at some point. So to what do I owe the unpleasant visit, dope? I looked at her and understood what was going on. Well, team, here I was thinking that you might want to join our shogi club instead of sitting here on your butt doing nothing. Here I am trying to be friendly, and this is what I get. She tried to sound bored and I understood that, but still I can remember how she behaved during our shower, and it was a little weird. Unlike you dope, I don't need other to tutor me to barely pass my final exam. Why don't you start looking for a job? Since you will need one when you don't graduate. I left pretending to be upset, and I saw the reason for the entire act. Sakura was behind one fence surrounding her home, and Into was on a tree branch just above Sakura. Part of me wanted to tell them the truth and consequences be damned. Another part of me wanted to respect Saomi's rights and wait till she decided to stop pretending to be a guy. Mom approved what I was thinking. I would expect no less from my baby boy. You make mommy proud thinking like that. I am a little disappointed though. I was hoping for a few grandkids. Guess I will have to wait a long while. Mom, we aren't even married and you are already thinking of grandkids? Let me get married and enjoy it a little while. You know how tough it is to be a parent. As I ran towards the first day of class of our 5th year, I couldn't help but smile as I remembered the many secret dates I had with Saomi, the nights spent together, and the mornings waking up with someone who loved me. I got to my classroom and I promptly started to pretend to take a nap. In reality, I was working on a secret project of mine. I'd been studying the summon seal and I had designed a variant of it. I drew one on my right arm and the other in a kunai. The theory was if I used the seal on my arm I should be able to teleport to the position of the sealed kunai. I don't know why, but Mother was chuckling when I told her my theory. It took many days to get everything ready, but today was the first actual test. I threw the kunai, or at least the mental image of the kunai, and used the seal on me. As I went towards the seal kunai I noticed time seemed to slow down. In a matter of seconds, at least that's what it felt to me, I traveled across 500 feet. Mom was clapping and was really proud of what I achieved. She hugged me. That's my boy. You took only a month to figure out something your dad took years to do. I couldn't be prouder than I am now. I walked a little bit and began to wonder why Mom never mentioned Dad before. I could only guess it must be pretty painful for her. So Mom, if Dad made this technique, what is it called? She smiled and sat down next to me. It's called the Flight of the Thunder God. You might not notice it yourself, but when you used it you disappeared in a flash of yellow light. Next time leave a shadow clone and you will see it yourself. I was simply happy my theory actually worked. Flight or not, it's sure a rush getting from one point to another quickly. I can imagine this is useful to catch enemies by surprise. Since the initial test is a success, now I need the shadow clones to master the control of it. This will also require more metals and time at the local forge. I only have that test kunai. To really put this to practice I need at least 5 more. Mom was nodding her head as she approved on my ideas. There is also helping your lover with her training. Sumi and her family told the clone they needed to see you for something, and if that was not enough, attend class every day at the academy. You got a lot on your plate, my boy. Saomi's training was also a chance for me to spend time with her. I don't know when or how, but I simply got more and more comfortable being with her. If Sakura and Ino knew the very supposed boy they constantly fought to get his attention was a girl, and a girl so beautiful that make them both look rather plain, they would lose their minds. Class was the same thing as always. Irika subjecting them to one boring lecture after another. Mizuki finding ways for my weapons, taijutsu and other essential skills tests, and challenges to be that much tougher than the rest of the class. In truth, his class was the one I was never bored in. My kunai experiment came crashing down when the local blacksmiths found me trying to forge the 5 kunai I needed. They chased me half across the village screaming such foul things that made me wonder how they kiss their wives, kids or mothers with mouths like theirs. So much for me making my kunai. Damn it, I was on the verge of developing a new alloy too. I told them Mom that this alloy would make better weapons, armors and a whole bunch of other things. It's the story about my potions all over again. The only way I will get this stuff done is either to get some blacksmithing equipment, or kill a blacksmith and take over the shop. Since these idiots don't break the law anymore, I have to find a way to get that blacksmithing equipment, and a place to act as a forge. If I have to do all that, this village isn't getting this alloy ever. Not even if they begged me. I was just that upset that my projects have been basically put on indefinite hold due to the prejudice and stupidity of some village blacksmiths. Damn it, I was going to be able to put my new technique to actual field testing, but without the kunai that can handle it, my technique will not be able to be effective. I hear Mom growl at me from deep inside my mind. First, Naruto, watch that language. I didn't raise a punk. Second, you could ask either dog or the Hokage for help. Since it benefits his village so much, I would ask the Hokage first. I decided to listen to my mother's wise advice. I walked over to the window to the Hokage's office. I was caught by surprise as the window opened and someone looked up to see me standing a little higher than the window frame. Do you need something, Naruto? Or is this just a friendly visit? Either way, come inside. I got some nice tea I would like your opinion on. I walked into the office through the open window and sat in a chair near his desk. I am currently working on a new technique, but my kunai can't handle the stress it puts on them. I am thinking of developing a new metal alloy, but every blacksmith in this village will not let me enter their business, much less let me anywhere near their forges. He kept listening until I finished. You have to understand, Naruto, most blacksmiths do not let strangers handle their tools or their forge. It's a trade that is passed down from parent to child. I imagine it has a significant emotional attachment as well. So what metals do you want to try and mix together for this new alloy? I want to mix iron, copper and chakra conductive metal. 40% iron, 25% copper, and the rest chakra conductive metal. This should make it strong, lightweight, and durable. I couldn't understand why the Hokage had such a shocked look on his face. He took a sip from his tea and tried to look more composed. You aren't the first to try making that alloy. The fourth Hokage tried to have our blacksmiths make that alloy, but no matter how they tried, the metal would end up losing some of the chakra conductivity. What makes you think you will succeed where experienced blacksmith failed? I held out 2 fingers in front of him. First, I got shadow clones, so I will not try to do it alone. And second, I never said that I had not succeeded making a small sample. This kunai was made using fire chakra, but to make more or larger blades I need a forge. He took the kunai and began to examine it by spinning on the top of his open hand. A little rough and unbalanced. I imagine it's because you didn't have proper blacksmithing tools. It does have nice conductivity, and I see it has a seal on it. Strange, the seal almost looked like one that a student of Jiraiya made. I smiled as he gave me my rather roughly made kunai. My mother has taught me everything I know. After living as long as she has, I could never find a wiser, more patient, and caring teacher. She even taught me how to do a technique called the tail beast ball. Just wish it didn't leave such an unpleasant taste in my mouth. He immediately got an interested look in his eyes. So why does it taste bad to you? I had to be honest, mixing all the elements in my mouth did make for a rather acidic taste in my mouth. Mom keeps telling me that is because I haven't practiced it enough. With enough mastery, she says I could do it outside of my mouth. I will just keep practicing with the shadow clones. In a couple of years I should have this technique down. What am I to do about the problem I have regarding my experiment? He stood up and got a piece of paper. He wrote something on it and handed it to me. The man in charge of making weapons and armor for our village's A and BU division will help you with your experiment. All I ask is that you document everything and try to do it according to safe practices. As for the metal, I shall allow you to use the metal from broken and disregarded weapons and armor. This should help you somewhat. I got up and was ready to leave through the window as I entered his office. Thank you for your help with this, Lord Hokage. I felt a hand on my arm pretty much telling me to stop. Don't hesitate to ask for my help, Naruto. Helping my people is one of the few joys I have, and please use the door. We wouldn't want people thinking that you are a thief now, would we? I jumped down from the ceiling and walked towards his office door. I would use your office door more often, but your secretary seems to hold a grudge against me. As for a bad opinion of me, the village holds me in such low regard it would take a miracle to lower it even further. Chapter 9. This is a Naruto fanfiction only. At long last the final year in the academy began, and I swear that if someone tells me this hell was the happiest time in my life, I will probably thank that person and say that it sure was. Just to see the shocked look on my Jounin instructor's face. My experiments were of course a complete success, and thanks to me experiments I could in theory take down a few dozen enemies at a time. The second success, and one I was particularly proud of, was my chakra magnet seal. Just by sending a little bit of my chakra I could collect any weapon that had the seal on. It never made any sense to me that we throw all these weapons in a battle, but waste time to pick each and every weapon by hand. I couldn't wait for the next band of stupid bandits to come. I could finally put this new seal to a real field test. You seem to be quite happy, Naruto. It is because you already picked a job to do after you flunk out as a ninja? I looked at Kiba and smiled. Sure have, but the real question, have you? I guess helping your sister by providing physical therapy to her patients. Kiba was about to punch me when Akamaru jumped down and started chatting with me. I guess he sort of smelled the fact that I signed a summon contract with the Panther clan. Who knew the reason they were my neighbors all that time was because my biological mother, their last summoner, requested they keep an eye on me. I always wondered why Sumi and her family could speak like humans do. Now that I know, boy, do I feel dumb for not noticing it sooner. Uncle had those toads, Auntie with her slugs, and I think my godfather had snakes or toads as his summon. I never met any of them. At least my uncle had a good reason for that. He is dead. Classes were for boring, and if anything, a review of things I already knew. Irika loved to lecture about the things he was in charge of teaching. It was just that he never put any real-life examples or any sort of examples that were not straight out of a class textbook. I either helped his mother teach Saomi, or devoted my class time working on new ways to use seals. Naruto, why do you need to invent new seals and ways to use them? This village has tons of them already developed, and in scrolls in our village library. You just need to go, and you can borrow as many books and scrolls as you like. I stopped working on my absorption seal to look at her. I needed her to understand why I did all this research and development. Saomi, you mean the world to me, but let's put that aside. Think about this question, and once you know the answer you will know why I do what I do. She sat down and looked at me, waiting to hear my question. This village is full of people who either hate me enough to celebrate my death or people that want to kill me. If you want to make it easy for you to kill a guy, do you let him have access to the library and risk your victim become stronger with the knowledge of that library? I waited, and it finally dawned on her, and Mom was nodding her head telling her that her suspicions were correct. Everything he knows and you learned with us came from me. My boy has been kicked out of the library every time he even entered the place. If Konohamaru can get away with anything just because he is the grandson of the third Hokage, why can't my son enter this village's public library if he is the son of the fourth Hokage? My son is not clanless, he is the head of the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans in this village. I wanted to keep that last part a secret. I know that having 2 seats in the Shinobi Council may sound wonderful, but since I was never recognized as being the last member of both clans had some benefits, and some disadvantages. So far to me the benefits outweighed the disadvantages by a metric ton. The advantage was that I actually possessed several bloodline abilities to draw upon, and nobody could force me to be under the CRA or Clan Restoration Act. It was a law that would pretty much force me to marry multiple women and have as many kids as possible. I never liked that law since it pretty much treated women as a baby factory, and the fact that under this law the council could pretty much choose who I had to marry. The disadvantages were since I was not recognized the village had no responsibility to honor past agreements, business contracts, or even give me my earnings from the many businesses my family invested in. The Uzumaki clan owned part of every restaurant, food store and medical supply store within the village. The Namikaze clan owned part of every bookstore, equipment, weapon and even explosive store in the village. Jointly they own part of every inn, hotel, motel, and entertainment venue. As heads of both clans I am probably as rich as the Hokage. If I wanted to destroy the village all I had to do is march right into the council when in session, and I was of adult age, and demand that I be paid my share of the profits for all the investments under my clans. This would effectively bankrupt Konoha into oblivion. As the class entered the physical skills test they decided to pit me against Niji. Naruto, you might as well give up now. It's fate that you will lose to me. You are within my field of divination. I grabbed 2 of my special kunais and threw one at the edge of the sparring ring. Naruto, you idiot! The pointy part goes into the other person, not the ground. No wonder you are dead last every year so far. It really upset me to hear Kiba say that, but what I have in mind will shut him up. I kept evading Niji's attacks and threw the second kunai, and it hit the end opposite to the first. The stage has been set, I was ready to go, it's show time. Just as Niji was about to kick me and I saw the look that he said to me he believed victory was at hand, I was not there anymore. I was standing next to one of my kunai I threw. He ran towards me and in a flash I was next to the other kunai. I could do this the whole day and that is how our fight went on. He ran towards me and I was on the other side of the sparring area. I kept doing this for so long that Niji was breathing hard as he finally reached me. So much for fate. Fate is not written in stone or paper. You need to make your own fate and not depend on fate being decided for you. We can only trust the fate we make ourselves. I put my hand up and sent chakra through the air. Both my kunai came flying into my open hand. Thanks, Niji. You really put my experiments through a great field test. Niji got something that looked like his canteen and took a drink. I could tell what was in it by the smell. Always happy to help you, my friend. This juice sure feels great after a workout. Thanks for giving me the recipe. We both looked at the stunned look on everyone's face. Well, except for Sasuke and Mizuki, that is. I decided to snap them out of their shock by standing in the middle of the sparring area. Why is everyone so quiet? We just ended our spar and where is the next sparring match? What is class over? Mizuki just said that indeed class was over for the day, but he needed for me to accompany him to talk with the Hokage. Kiba, Sakura and Into were having fun saying that I was in trouble and that I was going to get it. As I walked into his office I just knew that he saw the entire thing. I just waited to be polite like Mom always taught me to be. Naruto, would you mind telling me if you found out who your father is? I looked at him, and with a straight and serious face I told him I didn't have a clue who he or my biological mother was except that they were the supposed heads of the Namikaze and Uzumaki clans. I might be lying but I was told by Mom to keep their identities a secret. So if you don't know who your father is, how are you using the flight of the Thunder God? I again looked dead serious and sat down on a chair in front of his desk. Mother lived for decades in Yuzushiobikure. She taught me everything she knows about seals. I figured if I made a few modifications on the summon seal I might be able to travel from one point to another quickly and not waste so much time or chakra. I told him it took me 2 whole months to make it, but I couldn't test it until I made my alloy and a few dozen kunai. I got up briefly and took a single one from my hip belt and placed it on the desk. No one but me can in fact use it, since each seal has to be configured to the user's chakra network. The other seal is my other invention. It's a magnetic seal. Send chakra through the air and the user can retrieve all weapons he has thrown. He finished looking at it and placed it back on the desk. I held an open hand towards it and sent chakra in the air, and sure enough the blade came right back into my open hand. Since I had enough sealed kunai and Niji agreed to help me field test the seal. We just did as we had planned during our last shogi game. We are members of the shogi club after all. I saw a look I never expected appear on his face. He looked worried for some reason. I was sure he would tell me if he felt I needed to know. Naruto, please only use that technique in life or death situations. If an IWA ninja see you use it, they will try to kill you as soon as they can. It was a technique that was used to kill hundreds of their ninja during the last war. They hold a grudge against us and hate anyone who knows that technique. I didn't see the reason to hold such a grudge. To me it seemed more like they were sore that they lost. Still don't get it, no matter how many times I hear of it. It's not like they didn't kill our ninja. I am pretty sure they didn't go to our people throwing rose petals and offering to make them a home-cooked meal. When people fight in wars they have a very good chance of getting killed. It has been like that since humanity fought the very first war. We might have improved our methods of fighting since then, but war never changes. I must have sounded strange because they were both staring at me with their mouths open as I finished saying that. Guess nobody ever told them this. Naruto, you may be right, and they may be just sore losers, or hold a grudge without ever realizing how it makes them look immature and or spoiled. But please think about what would happen to the people of this village if you died. I didn't even need to picture it. They'd probably build a statue to the guy that killed me, so large that the Hokage mountain will seem like a shrine. They will collect money and pay my killer enough so that his great-grandchildren never have to work a day. The day I died, a village-wide day of celebration, and they would celebrate it each year. Children would dress up as my killer and reenact my death. They would tell each other something like Happy Naruto's Death Day. That is what would happen. I saw the Hokage look at me with a sad look in his eyes. Naruto, not everyone would be happy to see you or hear of your demise. I can't tell you how others would feel, but I would be very sad to know you were killed. Chapter 10. This is a Naruto fanfiction only. Most people would feel nervous about the final exam that would decide their future path in life. Most people would also be nervous enough not to be able to sleep the previous night, or lose their appetite, or even their breakfast. Not me. I had a wonderful night's sleep, great breakfast, and was running on top of rooftops towards my last day in the academy. How am I feeling, you ask? Am I nervous like so many of my classmates? No, I am not nervous at all. I am mad as hell that either this exam they will mark me as a failure, or finally give me a trophy for being the consecutive dead last every single year. Class, you only need a piece of paper and a pencil, all of which has been provided for this portion of the exam. I shall also handle the ninjutsu section since Mizuki is apparently late this morning. You got 30 minutes to answer the written exam. Hand up if you finished so that I can collect your test, and you don't disturb people still answering their test. The test took me a grand total of 5 minutes to answer. I checked it, and made sure everything was answered correctly. I raised my hand and it turns out I was the first to do so. Teacher, I am done with my test. Please tell me what you want me to do. Iruka walked to my seat and glared at me with such hate I couldn't help but to smile. He took my test and looked it over. What he said next caught me by surprise. So Naruto, you knew so little that you think you can guess the right answer? With you sleeping through all my classes, I was not expecting much. You want to know what I need you to do? Shut up, be quiet, and let the students that actually paid attention in class finish their test. Do you think you can handle that? I looked at my teacher and just nodded my head. He left and began to read my answers on the test more carefully. I took a book from my belt pouch and began to read. It was a book on different animal languages my mom dictated to a few shadow clones. I still couldn't figure out how she was able to do that from inside me, but she never gave me a single clue. She only said figure it out in your own. Kiba, by my estimation, was not doing so good on the test. I saw Iruka take the test sheet away from him and heard him complain that he could have used 5 more minutes. The ninjutsu section was pretty standard affair. Transformation, followed by substitution and finally clone technique. I changed into a perfect copy of the Hokage, switched places with Kiba. Not that Akamaru mind at all. I made a clone and a shadow clone, both then transformed into me and Akamaru. Iruka told me to stick to the test and not be a show-off. Kiba walked over and picked Akamaru off my head. Guess we can chat later. Hey Akamaru, don't hold back in the test, alright? Akamaru flat out said that he wasn't planning to hold back anyways. Guess the smell from my summons was making him a bit irritated. Can't blame him, panthers were felines and he was a dog. Mizuki finally arrived as the ninjutsu part was over. I wanted to ask him why he was late, but that would cause a delay in our exams. Both me and Sasuke got perfect scores in our thrown weapons test. Kiba hit about 3/3 of the targets, and some even got 90% of the targets. My fight against Kiba was fun if anything else. I left towards my apartment feeling pretty confident on my exam result. You know the old saying to be careful what you wish for? For years I wished I wasn't the dead last, and after how I did in the exam I went to sleep finally feeling like I was going to get my wish. I woke up bright and early, eager to hear my results and receive my headband. All graduates received a metal band headband with the symbol of the village. It served to identify where a ninja came from and what village he or she was from. Akamaru flat out called a dog collar. I sat waiting as Iruka read the class roster and each of the final grades for each in our class. You can imagine my surprise when I heard Kiba actually graduated. I thought that he choked on the written test, guess he made it up in the other sections. Finally he got to my name and I guess I got my wish, and my worst fears came true. Naruto Uzumaki, grade F. You will have to pick a trade job to learn. Sakura and Ino were laughing so hard that they fell from their chairs. Since I didn't graduate, I was excused as what Iruka had to say was for graduates only. I decided to sit on the swing outside the academy to contemplate what my options were. I saw the happy looks of other students, and how proud their parents looked. They all left muttering something that was supposed to be impossible for me to hear, but I heard every word. The parents that muttered were saying how happy they were that I failed. Some even said that it would be a disaster for a thing like me to become a ninja. Don't let it get to you, son, we both have heard worse. Never expected they would do this to you, but I guess when dealing with humans I really should have expected it. Iruka was the last to exit the academy, and surprisingly he looked rather sad as he walked towards me and stood next to me. I don't know how you failed, Naruto. You had perfect marks on the test and ninjutsu part. I often thought you did great in physical skills. Once we averaged your score, your grade dropped, and we couldn't allow you to graduate. I guess the whole baby brother talk was just to get me to lower my guard, and Mizuki was the one that doctored my grades all along. We can't let you graduate if you can pass the exam. It would be a death sentence. I looked at him and was shaking my head as he said that. I should have known this place would never let me graduate. I got perfect scores in my physical skills part of the exam, but why did it matter anyways? They were going to fail me anyways. Iruka placed a hand on my shoulder. Naruto, I guess you think this is unfair, and you are right. This is unfair, so I decided to give you a practical makeup test. Pass this and you graduate. I knew a setup when I heard one. I wasn't a fox for nothing after all. I pretended to be excited and looked really happy to hear him say that. I asked him what I had to do. Ninja have to sometimes infiltrate and steal a scroll from enemy buildings. You have to sneak into the Hokage's private library and steal the big red-colored scroll on the pedestal. Take it to the old hunting lodge in the woods. I will find you and give you your headband once I see that you have the right scroll. This should pretty much show me and anyone who doubts your skills that you can be a ninja. This exam starts as soon as I finish telling you where the lodge is. You got 5 hours to complete this exam, and you will have to evade capture by ninja of our village. If you steal a scroll from an enemy, they too will try to capture you to get it back. I heard where the lodge was and left as quickly as possible. As I sneaked into the private library, Mom had something to tell me. Naruto, this scroll is called the Forbidden Scroll, and in terms of value it is a treasure trove of knowledge. Something tells me he wants to steal it and kill you. He can kill you and either pretend to have done it for the village to get a promotion or give it to another village and get a better rank with that village. I decided to hide the real scroll and have a shadow clone change into the scroll. I picked up the disguised shadow clone and took off. Sure enough, everyone that had ever held a kunai was sent to capture me, but due to my techniques and kunai they had no chance in hell of catching me. At least that is what I felt. I got to the hunting lodge to find Mizuki was already there. How did he know I was going to come here? What a surprise to see you, Naruto. Did you come to join me on my day off hunting trip? I was speechless as he said that. I asked him how did he find me? Why did he doctor my exam scores to make me get a failing grade? He honestly looked surprised as I said that. Naruto, what are you talking about? Iruka told me the final exam was postponed. It was supposed to happen tomorrow. That is the reason why he told me I could take the day off. Doctor your grades? Naruto, you are one of the best students I ever taught. I guess Iruka did something to your grades. He often told me you got a 0 in the written exams. I told him everything Iruka told me, and that was when he got really angry. I should have checked your actual written tests myself. This entire thing is a lie. I haven't been in the village since early evening last night. Brother, this whole thing is a trap. Iruka, why don't you show yourself, you stinking traitor? I saw Iruka come out of hiding. I guess it was too much to hope for this thing killing you, and giving me another justified reason to kill it, but no, you had to explain it to this thing. You mean to tell me you honestly think of that thing as your brother? You dare to call me a traitor when you clearly are willing to defend that monster. Mizuki threw his big shuriken and cut off a tree branch near Iruka. Don't you dare insult my baby brother. You don't know what the hell you are talking about. Iruka finally let his hatred of me for both of us to see. Here is a history lesson you will listen to, you damned monster. We often told you that the 4th Hokage killed the Kyuubi no Yoko. This is a lie that we tell our students. The truth is, Naruto, the Kyuubi can't be killed. The 4th knew this and instead he sealed it in a newborn baby. That's right, Naruto. That is the reason why everyone hates you. You are the Kyuubi and you murdered the 4th and a whole lot of people some years after you were sealed. You killed my family, you damnable demon. At long last I can get my revenge on you for making my life a living hell. I looked at him and smiled a very fox-like smile. Iruka, you know you just broke the law that the 3rd Hokage made. You want a piece of me, or do you want this scroll? He jumped down from the tree branch he was standing and I heard him say something I was expecting. I will take both your worthless life and the scroll. With it I will finally be the rank I should always have been. No more teaching ungrateful snot-nosed brats for me. I will get decent missions with decent pay, and all I have to do is kill the demon that made me an orphan. I couldn't ask for a better revenge. I began throwing kunai around him. I threw a grand total of 6. I guess it pays to keep making these kunai of mine. I got 20 in my belt pouch and all in a single storage seal. Both you really are worthless after all. Not a single kunai hit me. I guess Mizuki took pity on you when he graded your physical skills part of the exam. He always did say he considered you his baby brother. You have no idea how much I hate the guy for being proud of you. I took a kunai in hand and I had everything ready. I was about to do my take on the old death by 1,000 cuts. Hope you said your farewells, Iruka, because you are not coming to the village alive. He smugly asked me. Yeah, right, demon brat. You and what army? With a few hand signs 100 shadow clones appeared all around us. I took up my kunai and the clones followed my every action. We all used the seals on us and in a stream of flashing lights we all disappeared. In a matter of second Iruka was cut so many times he bleed out and looked more like ground meat than having a face. He was dead before his body hit the ground. I calmly walked over to Mizuki, who was smiling at me. I sat down feeling a little dizzy. He took off his headband and placed it on my forehead. For service to Konoha, for enforcing the law, and even saving my life, I hereby say that you Naruto Uzumaki fulfilled all requirements to graduate and be a ninja of our village. Congratulations, baby brother. You made me proud as you always have. Chapter 11. This is a Naruto fanfiction only. I was seated on the rooftop waiting for our instructor for over an hour. At least that was where Mizuki told me my supposed team was going to meet. The only pleasant thing about it was two things actually. The first was the look of shock to hear Iruka was dead. He was killed because he broke a law and became a traitor to the village. Then they learned I was allowed to graduate because I was the one that killed him. The second thing was that I was on Team 7 with Sasuke and Sakura. I currently was seated on the rooftop with Sasuke and Sakura. I guess she was still climbing up the stairs. We both jumped out the window and ran up the side of the building. Sasuke, mind checking the back of my head? I think someone threw a rock at me during our team assignment class. She stood up and did as I asked, since it was a perfect excuse to have a private chat. Saomi, when are you going to stop pretending to be a guy? I asked her as soon as she entered my mind. She was smiling till she was once again seating with me. Can't do it till I am a chunin. The council could pretty much force me to marry multiple men before I am one. They pretty much can decide the lives of all of us orphans till we become adults. And chunin is considered an adult regardless of age. Besides, you don't want unwanted competition for my affections now, do you? If I show them my real looks, you know how these horn dogs would be after me. I had to admit that I never thought much about it, but she was right. Well, you got those nice tits, slender waist and nice hips. Sakura would be crying if she knew the raven-haired guy she tried so hard seducing is a raven-haired beauty that is better looking than most waitresses in this village. She laughed as she leaned close to me. The bodies of my clan were often thought to be perfect. Guess it's good I got my looks from my mom. But be honest with me, Naruto, why do you want me to drop my disguise? I had it for years. Why you ask now, lover boy? That was when mom decided to say it was maybe because every friend her son had was trying to set him up on blind dates, and he was sick of turning them down. Now Saomi was angry, but at least she didn't shout. That really would make me have a headache. So your friends are trying to find you a girlfriend? You haven't cheated on me, have you, lover boy? You know what I would do if you did that. I flat out told her I would never hurt her like that. I even joked that I had no desire to find out how a brick feels in the oven. We both exited my mind and Sasuke told me it was just a pebble that Sakura threw, more than likely to keep me from napping during the meeting. Sakura finally got to where we were and the first thing that came from her mouth was an insult. Sasuke, what are you doing touching that thing's head? I just knew life was going to be hell in this team when I heard that. I looked at her with a smile and then at the tree branch nearby. You know, Sakura, I can just feel the love in your voice. I had no idea you cared so much about us. Teacher, just how long do you plan on watching us from up there? Sakura came by and tried to punch me on my head. I of course evaded her punch like it was nothing, because it was nothing. Naruto, our team instructor, is not even here yet, and I only care about Sasuke. You can die and do this village a favor anytime you feel like it. The sooner the better. That was when Kakashi decided to jump down from the tree branch I was looking at. That is not a very nice thing to say to a teammate, Sakura. I expected better from the daughter of a council member. Mind telling me how you knew I was up on that tree branch, Naruto? I looked at him and simply reminded him that I could smell that cheap shaving lotion anywhere on this village, especially when he was that close to us. I saw him sit down and told Sakura and Sasuke to sit by my side. Sakura sat by Sasuke and Sasuke sat next to me. Since this is our first team meeting, introductions are necessary. I will go first, so listen carefully. My name is Kakashi Hecate. I like many things, dislike even more, and my goals and dreams aren't any of your business. You go next, Naruto, then the emo, and finally the Banshee. I smiled at the nickname he gave to Sakura, but I would go more for Screeching Howler Monkey personally. I am Naruto Uzumaki. I like training, learning from my mom and my beautiful, sweet and tender lover Saomi. I dislike discrimination, slackers, criminals and traitors. My dream is to one day marry Saomi and have a family. But if that doesn't happen, become head of the Hunter Ninja Division. Sasuke was glaring at me, but somehow I could tell she was also blushing. I am Sasuke Uchiha. I like training and getting stronger. I hate a certain person and my goal is to avenge my family, and find someone special to help me rebuild my clan. Sakura was last, and I truly didn't expect much from her. My name is Sakura Haruno. I like, stares at Sasuke. I dislike, glares at me, and my dream is, blushes and drools a little while looking at Sasuke. I guess I was right on the money on my expectations on her introduction. I decided to get this going a little faster and decided to ask a question that must caught everyone by surprise. So Instructor Hecate, when do we get our team test? Sakura called me an idiot and said we just graduated, so we already passed all our tests. Sasuke just waited to hear the answer from Kakashi. Your team test will be tomorrow at Training Field 7. Actually, Sakura, the last test was just to see if you had the skills necessary for the actual test, which, as I said, will happen tomorrow morning. Don't eat anything before the exam or you will throw up. To me it was pretty obvious that I should eat a healthy breakfast, and get plenty of sleep. By the way Sasuke didn't say a word. I got the feeling she got the same idea as I did. I again don't expect much from Sakura. So Instructor Hecate, does this mean you are actually going to be on time next morning, or should I show up tardy to everything including your funeral like you? You are the one that is supposed to set an example to us. To say that I did not expect that comment from Sakura is an obvious understatement. I guess she is as upset with me as is the rest of the self-serving council. All she was saying was that if he was late she would have to spend more time with me waiting. Actually I prefer if you call me by my first name. As for being late, I was here long before Naruto and Sasuke even arrived. So in truth the only one that was late was you, Sakura. Did those stairs tire you out? Is that why you are in such a bad mood? For a second I wanted to high-five Dog for saying that, but just for a second. See you tomorrow on the field no later than 8 in the morning. Now do you have any question? Cause if you don't I think I can smell a bowl of ramen with my name on it. I decided to put my hand up. Since you are our instructor Kakashi, does this mean you still haven't found my cat? And does that mean I need to find me a new guard dog? Without one all my things will be burned to ashes by the kind and considerate people of this hellhole, I mean village. I saw him scratch the back of his head and Sasuke looked at me with a surprised look on his face. You mean to tell me you are still looking for Tora? You've been looking for that cat for years, Naruto. She is more than likely dead by now. I got up and as I was leaving I told them I wouldn't believe that my cat is dead till I had her corpse for me to bury. I made it home and I was met by a cat master NBU. She for obvious reasons was not happy to either be there or in my presence. I didn't appreciate the guard dog comment, but be assured that the Hokage has no intention of disregarding your safety. I walked over to my kitchen and she followed me. I took a glass and served myself some lemonade. I looked at her and offered her one, but she was still upset by what she heard me say. I took a sip and looked at her as seriously as I could. Maybe guard dog was a bit insensitive, and could be seen or thought of as me being ungrateful. If that is the case I apologize, but I guess saying prison guard or jailer would also not be to your liking. It is no secret that most of this place hate my guts. I can't leave it, and they can't stand me being alive, much less living in this village. I think I can count on one hand the number of people that don't wish I die. I took a sip and began to cook dinner. She just kept looking at me work. As such I never, and I mean never, expect warm, kind, or caring actions or words from the people of this a place I know as a hellhole. She sat down and took a glass. She then served herself a glass and took a glass straw from a glass container on my table. If that is the case, Naruto, tell me who provided you with the dwelling? Where did you buy the food you are cooking? Who gave you the furniture and clothes in this place? Not everyone hates you, I would say. I finished cooking and placed a dish of food in front of her and one for myself, and sat down. My den in the forest is about 1,000 times more comfortable and safer. The things the Hokage so kindly bought for me was, as I said, burned to ashes. I got most my clothes off the bodies of dead bandits and rogue ninja. I modified them to make these clothes. I also built the furniture, and no food store will ever sell me any type of groceries ever. The spices, the vegetable, the fish, and even the oil I got in the forest that scares most people. You know, the one me and Anko loved to spend time in. I began to eat to let her realize that I was by no means a naive child. I spoke bluntly and to the point when needed. Naruto, if what you say is true, why haven't you told anyone? I am sure the Hokage could have done something on your behalf. I saw her begin eating her food. I decided to finish my meal before I answered her question. Everyone deserves a hot home-cooked meal. As I saw her finish, I summoned a shadow clone who took all the dishes and utensils to clean them. The Hokage is one of the people that don't wish for my death, but he has to think on the big picture, not just me. He has to think what is good for everyone in the village, and some sacrifices are not unexpected. The Hokage knows everything about my situation. He has known for years. The fact that he has not done anything about it means one of two things. Either he can't do it because it would be used against him, or doing so would cause the village as a whole harm. Sometimes for the greater good some must suffer. Chapter 12. This is a Naruto fanfiction only. Alright mom, let's talk about what tests could Dog come up with. He hates betraying team members and considers traitors to be worse than scum. As far as I know, there are two tests that he could use. He could do the free-for-all battle test or the infamous bell test. Mom looked at me and smiled that particularly easy to understand smile. He is not going to pick something as easy as a battle between each other. Every one of you is educated to be ninja, you could fake your fights. No, he is going to pick the one that has you betray each other to win. There is no mystery, it's going to be the Hokage's bell test. I looked disappointed when she said that, because I truly was. Darn, and here I was hoping for the battle test. I don't need much motivation to break that howler monkey's neck, after 6 years of being in the same class as her. Killing her should also be considered a service to Konoha. Mom gave me the look, and I knew what was coming. You might think so, son, but in reality it would be considered treason and a reason to execute you. Now stop thinking about killing the girl that bothers your lover. They just got to the field. I opened my eyes and I saw both my teammates. Alright, the girl I loved pretending to be a guy and the pink-haired howler monkey. If she started throwing her feces at me, it might make her look the part. But then again, what she usually screams either about me or at me could count as doing that. Morning Sasuke, Sakura. Nice day we are having? The sky is clear, the air is fresh and you both and 15 minutes late. So you both must be well rested. Sakura marched right to where I was standing and grabbed my shirt. It seems the howler monkey wanted to do something obvious. Sasuke is late because he was waiting for me. I am late because as a moron like you wouldn't know girls take longer to get ready in the morning. I looked at Sasuke asking her if that was true. She just told me no by shaking her head. So Kakashi, is this going to be every time we meet or just a few initial times? Don't bother staying up there. God, I hate the smell of your lousy aftershave. I guess this is why you told us to skip breakfast, and boy am I glad I did. That smell could make a pig throw up, isn't that right, Sakura? She punched me in the gut and walked away. I was talking about the horrible smell. I guess she thought I called her a pig like she called into for years. Kakashi jumped down and looked at me with an almost angry glare. Actually, Naruto, I wear it to test which of our little team has any sensor abilities. If you could smell me from up there, you are as good as one of the dogs from the Inuzuka clan. I watched him walk in front of all three of us. Let's get started with the test, shall we? Your task is a simple one. Get a bell from me and you can use any means to get your bell. He reached inside his vest pocket and pulled 2 bells tied together. As you notice, there are only 2 bells. Which means only 2 of you will pass if they get a bell. I hate wasting time, so the one that doesn't get a bell, I'll just kill that failure. I am supposed to send him or her back to the academy, but why waste time training someone who failed? You got 30 minutes and that time started to count when I first said the word bells. The way he disappeared told me we've been talking to a shadow clone this entire time. Okay, before we end up doing something stupid, we need to do something that Sakura is going to hate. That was when she said that I was finally going to admit being gay, and that I had a crush on Sasuke too. I glared at her. I think he means teamwork, Sakura. Admitted you'd be pretty happy if he was gay. You probably tried to humiliate him till he commits suicide. So Naruto, what's the plan? I guess Saomi really got to know me in our time we've been a couple. Ki says keep it simple, stupid. I make a extra resilient shadow clone. You, Sakura, stab him repeatedly, acting like you lost your mind. You know, not that hard for you. Kakashi hates traitors. He will try to detain you but also ask you why you did it. Sakura, you keep him distracted, and while he is distracted, Sasuke and I will sneak behind him and take his bells. Don't give me that look, Sakura. We are all going to pass, or we all sit with each other for our execution. We win or lose, but we do it together. Sakura was looking at Sasuke, trying to figure what he would do. Even if we keep the bells, you know we would fail the test anyways. It's back to the academy for all of us. A team of genin is a 3-person squad. It has been like that since we had squads. You know he wouldn't kill me or Sakura, don't you, Naruto? I nodded my head as Saomi said that. Yeah, you're the last of the ever-precious Uchiha clan, and Sakura's mom is a council member. Sasuke, you hide in the underbrush of that tree over there. I will hide in the bushes by that thorn bush. Let's go, team time is against us on this one. As the plan began to be put into action, something didn't quite feel right. The plan was progressing smoothly, if not a little too smoothly for my liking. Kakashi was not going to be dumb enough to fall for something that simple. The only problem was, unlike Saomi, Sakura spent more time worrying about her looks than her actual physical skills. Sure enough, Kakashi appeared to stop Sakura from killing my clone, but instead of Sakura, he was caught by surprise as my clone substituted himself with her. The second he had his hands on Kakashi, he sent lightning chakra through his hands and shocked him. Kakashi was not ready for this, since I did most of my element manipulation and chakra training within my mother. He was knocked out cold. Saomi and Sakura both looked quite surprised since this was not in the plan. I calmly took the bells from the belt pouch and told the others we needed to get away from him. As we ran, Saomi decided to ask me something. Naruto, why didn't you follow the plan? Sakura just had to say that I was so stupid. I probably forgot the plan. Would someone remind me why I am helping this howler monkey? Mom said because it was the right thing to do. It's pretty obvious he listened to our plan and was going to use it against us. So I changed it the last second to catch him by surprise. Don't you think that was a good idea, Kakashi? Out of the nearby tree he came down, and he looked a little odd. He looked mad but was laughing as he walked up to Naruto. That paralysis technique we learn in ANBU. Guess you still have a few secrets I haven't managed to learn. As for the plan, I don't see anything wrong with it, except how did you manage to heal from those cuts and staves Sakura gave you? Sakura looked at me and then at Sasuke. She had a look of utter surprise on her face. Sakura, anyone that knows how to do the shadow clone technique knows this fact. If you give a hard enough hit, a shadow clone will disappear. The one you were pretending to mutilate was the real Naruto. He just risked his life to try and get you and Sasuke to pass this exam. Mind telling me why, Naruto? I tossed both bells, one to Saomi and the other to Sakura. Sakura looked a little confused as I walked up to Kakashi. I remember a friend once told me something, kind of stuck with me. A person who abandons a mission is scum, but a person that abandons teammates is worse than scum. Mom had a suspicion this was a teamwork test, and I don't abandon teammates. Even if they hate me enough to wish for my death every single day. I looked at him and tried to remain serious, but the way he was smiling made it a bit hard for me to do that. So we can work together, watch out for each other, and put our differences aside if needed. So what's the verdict, do we pass? Or do I spend another year with Mizuki? He looked at Saomi in her disguised form and Sakura. He then turned around and threw me a bell from his vest pocket. As I see it, each one of you got a bell. As far as I am concerned, you each passed. Now how about we go get our first mission? They both looked so excited as we walked towards the Hokage building. I would be excited too had my mother not taught me about mission ranks. They must be thinking that they are going to rescue people, stop bandits from attacking a caravan, or even protect a member of the royal family. I knew better than expect something like that. We walked into the office to see the smiling face of the Hokage. Well, sir, Team 7 ready for service, Lord Hokage. Do you have a mission for us? I walked over to pick a nice book about medical techniques, forensic medical techniques to be more specific. I picked it up and began reading the intro. It was a nicely written book by Tsunade Senju. The Hokage was doing his fake look through the pile of mission scrolls by the sounds he was making. I wanted to tell him to quit wasting my time and give us our D rank, sure. I didn't do that for several reasons. First, this book really was well written. Second, it would be disrespectful to the Hokage, and Mom raised me better than to do that. And lastly, I just didn't have the heart to crush her hopes as she waited to get our first mission. He finally got a scroll and began to nod his head. I got the perfect mission for you. It seems a citizen is fighting against a relentless enemy which threatens to destroy her most prized possessions. Your mission, Team 7, is to eliminate that enemy, and do so while safeguarding the client's treasure. I just asked if I could borrow the book. The Hokage told me I could keep it. Call it an early birthday present. It was exactly what I figured it was going to be. The client, an old widow that lived in the village, the relentless enemy was weeds, and her prized possessions a bunch of rose bushes. I guess the Hokage had a taste for the dramatic. I sent 3 shadow clones to do my share of the gardening so I could keep reading this fascinating book. I had no idea you could learn so much from a dead body. I guess it makes sense why Hunter Ninja always burn the remains after they cut off their target's head as proof. Kakashi looked at Sasuke and Sakura knee deep in weeds and then walked to where I was still reading. I think you could help them, unless that book is just so good that you can't put it down. I just looked at my teammates and at my shadow clones before I decided to tell Kakashi what I thought about the book. I happened to also remember how a friend of mine told me her captain would not stop reading a smut-filled orange book. I am just reading on things I might need to know for later missions, but yes, it really is a good book. Kat should really learn to keep this that happened in our squad to herself. She was just there to make sure you are safe, not chat with you. Was it my imagination, or was Kakashi actually upset that Kat chats with me more than me calling Hus' beloved book series smut? I looked at him and put the book back in my belt pouch. It's amazing what you can do with seals. My belt pouch could practically carry a house full of furniture. It wasn't Kat that told me, it was Kiba's mom. She talks with me every once in a while. Just about every time I whipped the sparring area with her son, which, if you can tell, happened often. I don't even know why Kiba hates me so much. Kakashi looked at my teammates, and they were doing the same thing my shadow clones were doing. These missions are so that a team can get used to working together under safe conditions. It's not done to simply annoy new academy graduates, you know. I looked up and knew what he was trying to say. I don't know about Sakura's abilities, but I know me and Sasuke are ready for anything below an S rank. I killed bandit camps as stress relief. I have the crazy notion to tell the Hokage let me send a few dozen shadow clones and they can do the chores. Then we could probably stop wasting our time and for the love of God get Sakura some actual training. Kakashi smiled as I finished talking and looked at me. Then why didn't you tell him that? I said it would be disrespectful to him if I said something that might sound like I knew how to do the training of my squad better than him. Well, since you mentioned it, I do think I like that idea more than doing this. You have to limit the number of missions to 5 per day though. Don't want to ruin the fun for the other squads now, do we? Chapter 13. This is a Naruto fanfiction only. I truly expected our Lord Hokage to tell us my idea was beyond stupid, or at the very least naive. Kakashi told him exactly what I told him, that Sakura's current training would be detrimental for the team and potentially lethal to her. After Kakashi made the suggestion of sending shadow clones to complete the D-rank missions, whatever the clones learned doing these missions would be learned by the one that made the clones. So far only Naruto and Sasuke knew the technique and could do it. If Sakura learned proper chakra control, then she could learn to use the shadow clone technique, but they needed time to train her. He accepted to everything Kakashi said. 5 missions per day and all done by shadow clones. He did add one condition, that the one with the best chakra control be in charge of her training. This is how I found myself in my current predicament. I looked at Sakura fall down from the tree once again. I should have kept my big fat mouth shut. I have the biggest reserve of chakra. How in the blasted hell did I turn out to have the best control? Kakashi was an ANBU captain, for goodness sake. Sakura made me realize that teaching was definitely something I would never consider for a potential profession if my students were anything like her. She was loud, unwilling to listen, disrespectful, and hated anything that was either too hard or could cause any injury to her looks or the condition of her skin. The chakra control exercise was the basics of the basics. It involved sending chakra to the bottoms of her feet. Using this chakra to walk on the surface of the tree. This required constant use of chakra and constant regulation on the amount and strength. Too much chakra and you get blown off the tree, but too little and you fall down. I was kind enough to place a few dozen pillows under her, but that was an empty and useless gesture. She either didn't appreciate it, or she had the worst luck in the world. Every time she fell down she missed the pile of pillows every single time. It took me an entire month to get her to actually do it correctly. The only way I got her to listen was to use the transformation technique and transform into a copy of Sasuke wearing nothing but a pair of Speedos, swimming briefs and some sandals. I had to apologize to Saomi profusely, but she understood that it was for a good cause. The good news was that thanks to my clones and several of Saomi's doing missions I got my family cat back. Or should I say they rescued her from her tormentor. It turns out the ruler of Fire Country has a wife, and this wife had two qualities that were pretty unique. She loved anything cute, and so she picked up Tora when she was out for her morning exercise, and the lady has no control whatsoever on the strength of her grip. I kid you not, one hug from this lady will send an Akamichi clan member to the ER. I guess I should thank Choji when I see him for substituting with my shadow clone. The lady in question tried to hug my clone thinking I was going to return Tora. I got back the memories when she punched him as he told her it was actually my cat. Like I said, no control of her strength. I decided to take Sakura's training to the next level. Sakura, for the next one it's very much like before you use chakra on your feet, but instead of walking on the tree you will walk on this river like I am doing. Always teach with an actual example. Unlike the tree here the water moves, and the amount of chakra must be constantly modified and regulated. This is a pretty shallow river, but the deeper it is the more difficult it is to walk on. Now remember you must keep enough chakra distributed on the bottom of your feet. I helped get out of the water each time she fell until she demanded something I expected from her. I honestly expected her to complain a lot sooner. So mind telling me how is this beneficial to me as a ninja? Or are you just doing this to humiliate me? I was already walking on the river water as easily as if it was the ground. It has several uses in fact, the first being that it provides a new way to reach an objective during a mission. Not many people would believe we can walk on water after all. Catching an enemy by surprise could mean the difference between life and death. Secondly, if you put everything you practices together you will learn to quiet the sound of your footsteps, and thus be more difficult to track. Using the same chakra technique you could walk on snow or sand without leaving a footprint. The most obvious use is to improve the control of your chakra. Sasuke, the members of the Shogi Club and myself been practicing chakra control exercises since we started going to the academy, which means we have better control of our chakra than you. She glared at me from where she was seated. Then why you never invite me or Ino to your little study club? I walked up to her and smiled as I looked directly into her eyes. I told her to be honest with herself. She would never accept to join the Shogi Club, just because I was a member of it. It took us a grand total of 3 months of training till Sakura summoned her first shadow clone. She could at most summon 2. This to me it meant that she could go right back to being Kakashi's pain in the rear. Okay Kakashi, I got her to decent control of her chakra. You can handle the rest from this point on. I will see if Sasuke's training hasn't suffered by me spending so much with the teammate that never appreciated my help. I walked over to Saomi as I heard Sakura scream good riddance. I am doing alright Naruto. I just missed training together, and no, I am not happy you transformed into that version of me. I understand that it was necessary, but that doesn't mean I am not angry about it. Honestly Sasuke, do you think I was happy training a girl that the kindest name she ever called was to call me that thing? I never realized how much fun it was to train with my club and you till I had to teach her. We both sat down and looked at the sky. I guess it wasn't all bad. You got your cat back. Sakura should be easier to train with her shadow clones. When do you think we will get a better rank mission? We've been doing D ranks for 3 solid months. I was happy to spend any time with her, even if she was in her male disguise. I guess you are right. I should try to focus on the positive side of things, but you are wrong if you think we did only D rank missions. My clones cleared a few C rank, B rank and a couple of A rank missions. She came close enough to me that I could see the tick mark on her forehead. And why are my clones only doing D rank missions? I just told her I did what she suggested. The clones asked for higher ranked missions. Ibiki was pretty upset I beat his old assassination speed record, but I know he doesn't hold grudges. In fact, I imagine he is secretly pretty happy someone tried and beat his record. She asked me what was the record? I told her eliminate 10 targets under a minute. With my current techniques I can eliminate a bandit camp under 10 seconds, so my clones had no difficulty whatsoever. As we finished the last day of training for Sakura, we all walked into the Hokage's office. We expected to find him seated behind his desk. I expected that, and the regular ANBU protection team watching over his security from the shadows. Instead we found him talking to a fat, old, bald man who by the smell coming off him been drinking. I mean really drinking. As we walked towards the desk the Hokage seemed to be glad to see us. I figured with the current client standing so close to him who wouldn't want an excuse to put a little distance between him and the drunk? Excellent timing Team 7. This man is Tazuna and he is the master builder from Wave. He came here to make a contract with some of our merchants to provide building materials, but he needs an escort back to his home and probably help with the bandit problem his construction site been having. I was Tazuna walked towards a place he could take a better look at us. Lord Hokage, you aren't telling me this is the lot that will help me. We got a blonde brat I wouldn't hire to scrub toilets. A pinkette who is the single most flat-chested weak girl I ever seen. A guy who loves to suck on lemons and a scarecrow that would fail at his job of scaring anything at all. I didn't like him from the smell. him insulting Saomi even if she was looking like a guy that was the last straw. Lord Hokage, I gather he has not actually signed the proper paperwork. Nobody insults my team and gets away with it. How about I kill him, dispose of the body, and then I come back to clear the stench of booze from your office? I might even do it for free. I loved the look on Tazuna's face as I said that while holding a kunai right at his neck. Unfortunately, he has signed the proper paperwork, so I regret to tell you that you can't kill a client of the village. It could give the village a bad reputation. I looked at him while I pulled my kunai back. Sure we can, there is bandits sometimes in the area around here. I can kill him and make it look like bandits did it. I hear Kakashi clear his throat and walk towards me. He placed a hand on my shoulder. Sorry Naruto, I know you haven't gotten to kill anyone in a while, but you can't kill our client. Tazuna, you might want to apologize if you value your life at all. He might try to do as he said and not do as good a job of keeping you safe otherwise. Tazuna looked at me and I could tell he knew I was not kidding. I was just testing to see if they had any backbone. I hate to cause people younger than me to die, just because they think they are invincible. Most kids their age do and end up finding out the truth the hard way. Sorry to hurt your feeling, kids. Kakashi decided to tell him something that made me smile. These may look like kids, but they are highly trained ninja. Naruto alone could make your town a graveyard in less than half a day. Now I would suggest you clean up and meet us in 30 minutes by the south gate. Team 7 pack for 7 days. And no Naruto, you are coming with us. I went home and began packing. Tora was happy to see me home. She jumped up and began rubbing herself against me while purring. Glad you are home too, Tora. I have some bad news though. I have to leave on a week-long mission. I left you enough food and that shadow clone summon seal to use. I am sorry, girl. Hey, I am going to a fishing town. I will buy you some fresh fish to make it up to you. Sure, Naruto. I take care of this place, but please try to come back alive. This village might celebrate your death, but me and Saomi would definitely be very sad if you died. I finished packing and after giving my caring cat a kiss on her head I left towards the meeting point. Tazuna was carrying a gourd of what smells to me to be fire whiskey. Great, he is drinking again, and this time it's the stuff me, Ibiki and Anko like to drink to relax after a long day. Since we are all here diamond formation, I will take the head, Sakura to the right, Sasuke to the left, and you guard the back, Naruto. We will rotate the positions every hour. Be sure to say something if you spot something suspicious. Chapter 14. This is a Naruto fan fiction only. As we walked I decided to have a somewhat casual conversation with Kakashi, much to Sakura's discomfort, but I really didn't care either way. Don't you find it strange, Kakashi? We haven't had any major rain in more than a month and the bushes and trees are green as always this time of the year. The sky is so clear I can practically see Mars. It is showing quite bright, don't you think so? Kakashi finally got what I was saying and played along. Why yes, Naruto, nature is amazing, and you are right, Mars is quite bright today. Some think we might be headed towards a battle, but I never put much stock in fortune telling. I quickly used hand language to tell him I was going to talk to our enemy ready to ambush. I also said I would leave a shadow clone to keep talking about nonsense to distract our attackers. He nodded his head. I used a bit of chakra and decided to infiltrate the puddle genjutsu where 2 men wearing gauntlets and had 2 arms linked with a chain were waiting for my team. I told you it hasn't rained in over a month. This genjutsu is a really dumb idea. His brother was quite annoyed and told him since he didn't offer a better alternative he could shut up before the team guarding their target noticed them. I personally agree with your brother. The way this ambush was planned is really stupid. It's like someone didn't spend enough time to think things through. Wouldn't a bush or an underground ambush be better than this? The first brother agreed with me without realizing I was not supposed to be there at all. Exactly, glad somebody else thinks so. We didn't need to rush our planning of this ambush at all. So what, that Gato wants the drunken bridge builder? We could have left a poison bottle of booze and get the job done better than this. Hey, wait a minute, who are you? It was supposed to be just my brother and me under this genjutsu. I smiled at them and decided to point the obvious. Who, me? I am one of the people guarding the drunk that is your target. Now do you two want to resolve this peacefully or do I have to go feral on you? If I could sneak under here I am no unskilled brat. So what will it be? Talk it out or die. The idiot of the 2 brothers was ready to fight by the looks of it, but his brother stopped him. Look, we are just doing our job. It was nothing personal. We weren't even going to harm your team at all. We were just going to kill the drunker and go. I swear, the genjutsu was dispelled and I knew he was telling the truth. Look guys, you are being used and swindled. Did you get any upfront payment from this Gato guy? No, you were told you'd be paid after the drunk bridge builder was dead, didn't you? I saw them looked quite angry as they realized I was telling the truth. Asterisk, so do me a favor? Mind telling your team leader I need to have a friendly chat with him? I need to deal with a certain drunken liar first. They were only too happy to do me that favor. They both left in what I call friendly terms. The guy that agreed with me practically left as a friend after a chat. I turned around and I walked towards Tazuna with a kunai, and really wanting to gut him like a fish. Now Tazuna, would you kindly tell me why did you lie to our Hokage? Tazuna, Sakura and Saomi were both sweating as I was looking at him. Alright, I am sorry that I lied. My town is under the thumb of a crime boss. I am making a bridge to allow commerce to flow to my town. This crook controls all transport into my town. We are spending everything on the bridge. We had to lie, cause if I told the truth the mission would be higher rank, and we can't afford that. I understood that very well, but part of me wanted to return to Konoha and tell the truth to the Hokage before this supposed mission continued. In the end I decided to put it up for a vote, and we should decide how to proceed as a team. Mission parameters have changed and we could by all rights go back to the village and let our Lord Hokage decide. But I would like to ask you, do we go back or do we continue this mission? I can understand that this was the act of a desperate man. In my opinion we go finish this mission, but Tazuna has to pay the right amount for this mission, once his village economy recovers. Saomi smiled a little but quickly hid it behind the emo mask she wears. For once we agreed, dope. I wanted a tougher mission anyways, so as far as I am concerned this fits me like a glove. I'm in all the way. Hope this enemy is tough. God, I love a challenge. We both looked at Sakura and she did as expected. As long as Sasuke wants to continue this mission I will agree too. We all looked at Kakashi, and he was smiling, or so we thought. We couldn't see his smile thanks to that facial mask he wears. Okay, we continue, but we send a reinforcement request to Konoha and tell the Hokage why. I already wrote a scroll when you three were deciding what to do. As your Jounin instructor you made me very proud with your decision. He summoned one of his dogs and we all knew who it was. Paku, take this scroll to the Hokage and to him only. You know where we are headed in case he sends a reply. Kakashi put the scroll in a carrying pouch on him, and he took off faster than we could track. Will you stop crying, Tazuna? We got a long way to wave and you getting dehydrated is not going to help matters any. For a second there I feared he was going to have a nervous breakdown. He jumped up and hugged each of us saying thank you over and over again. Boy am I happy the demon brothers had gone to deliver my message to their leader, cause this was embarrassing. It turns out there really were bandits nearby and wouldn't you know it, Tazuna just had to piss right next to a bandit ambush. Let's just say even I could feel some level of sympathy towards my usual prey. They were so upset that they tried to rush Tazuna and kill him. I substituted myself with him, and saved him from the wrath of the understandably upset and pissed bandits. I killed them in one use of my variation to a technique Niji taught me. I had to be sure to thank him once I got back. Naruto, why did you save Tazuna? I sort of understand wanting to complete the mission, but that was excessive. You know anyone else in our team could have done that. Sakura, Kakashi and Tazuna were fast asleep in the makeshift tents. I was on guard duty with Saomi. In a way I am happy to be able to spend any alone time with her, but deep down I am still bothered by her pretending to be a guy. I can't shake the feeling that if this keeps up she might develop interest in girls and that most definitely be a bad thing for me. Sasuke, I merely saw that the drunk managed to make a bad situation even worse. Honestly I had no time to think things through. You want to tell the Hokage that our client is dead cause he managed to make a bunch of bandits go feral because he pissed on them? She quickly said that she wouldn't want to report such a failure. I guess you are right, Naruto. I just think that we should confiscate the rest of his liquor, and no I don't mean you can have some. Tazuna came over to me smiling as he did. He placed an hand on my shoulder. Say Naruto, aren't you a bit young to drink fire whiskey? I brushed his hand off my shoulder and looked at him. Old enough to kill, old enough to drink. I drink fire whiskey for the flavor. It has a nice spicy, nutty taste to it. Now if I wanted to really get drunk, Inferno Dragon Sake. There is just no substitute for it. Not many stores carry it since it does tend to kill people. Tazuna was surprised to hear anyone could drink it. The liquor was mostly used as a liquid to fuel cremations. One spark and the bottle exploded in such a way it was known to burn down houses, or kill due to liver failure. We all waked until I saw something strange on the road. A white-furred rabbit. That was weird, it still had winter fur. Everyone hit the floor. As I said that a big sword came flying and I had to act fast or the blade would kill the rabbit too. I caught the bunny and shielded her with my body. As the blade came to get stuck in a nearby tree I looked at the bunny looking rather afraid. I began to pet it to relax her. There no need to be afraid. Nothing bad happened to you. I looked at the man and immediately knew who he was. He was in the current bingo book. One hell of an entrance, Zabuza Momochi. You sure have a flair for the dramatic, but was it really necessary? I did tell the demon brothers I needed to talk with you. I however need to ask you, daughter, who is up on that tree over there to come and get her bunny. No need to scare it anymore, is there? He jumped down and held his sword in hand. What makes you think that rabbit is a pet? Or that it belongs to my daughter? I told him the rabbit had the smell of a woman's perfume on the fur. A masked kunoichi jumped down and walked towards me. I placed her bunny in her open hand along with some carrots. She looks hungry. Don't worry, I didn't hurt your bunny. She left and I looked at Zabuza. So what do you want to discuss other than pet care? I looked at him. My teammates were sweating heavily due to the killer intent he was sending to the surrounding area. Me, it didn't matter one bit. I felt much worse when Mom was angry when I did something she didn't approve of. You know, Zabuza, it's just strange to me. If this guy is such a successful crime boss, why doesn't he buy explosives and with a few raft place them on the bridge? Explosives aren't that expensive or hard to find. Hell, you could probably make them yourself, and that includes the rafts. Zabuza was nodding his head in agreement. That is interesting, but what is your point? I walked closer to him. Maybe he isn't as successful as he pretends to be. Maybe the reason he doesn't blow up the bridge is because he can't afford it. He's got his shipping company as the only source of income. If they can send goods without him, he is bankrupt. I think that if I am right, he plans to invite you over to dinner after you succeed. He will offer you a drink, and he will have poisoned your drink and food. He can't afford explosives. What makes you think he can afford you? Even Tazuna could see that my words were indeed striking home, if his smile was any indication. Let's say for argument's sake you are correct. What exactly do you propose? If we don't do as asked, he might try to betray my friends even sooner. I don't know you, but the way you saved my baby girl's pet at least let me know you are decent. I looked at the both and couldn't help but to smile. Here is what I propose. You pretend to be injured for a solid week. In that time my teammates, and occasionally a shadow clone, will pretend to train. In reality I will sneak around town and gather evidence of Kato's finances. If they are as bad as I figured, his own thugs will kill him. Then I help Tazuna finish the bridge. You of course are free to help us at this point. Once the mission is over I will invite you and your friends to join Konoha. It gets you respectable employment, better living conditions, and off the bingo book. No more looking over your shoulder for a hunter. What do you, Zabuza? He smiled and put his sword back on his back. Why should I believe a word from a total stranger? How do I know you are honest about this? I placed a hand on my chest and closed my eyes. I swear on the honor of my mother Kushina Uzumaki that all I said was honest and would never betray a promise, or let the Shinigami eat my soul right now. Zabuza walked over to me and did something I didn't expect. He hugged me. I can't believe the son of my dearest friend is alive. I was told you died with your mother. Haku, no need to be shy. This is the son of your godmother. Now knowing this, of course I will help you out. Chapter 15. This is a Naruto fanfiction only. We were told we needed to board a small boat to reach the town. The only good thing about the boat ride was that it allowed us to view the construction of the bridge. I noticed something odd. Tazuna, is this bridge only temporary, or do you plan to expand on it at a later date? I saw the look of surprise and he nodded his head in agreement. Yes, this bridge is just the foundation of the finished bridge. We need this in order to bring more materials which are too heavy for our boats to handle, and the shipping boats that can't travel in our waters, they are not wide enough for them to maneuver. I knew he was lying, and he knew why I asked. The supposed criminal boss controls shipping, so it was not out of the question that he had some sort of listening device on it. ANBU back in my village had inter-squad communications and even long-range listening devices. A small microphone and a tape recorded was not that hard to find. Even a security camera was an option. We both seemed to understand that, and we hoped that by saying such words our enemy would fall in a false sense of security, since he would have longer time to try and end our client's life. As we made it off the boat, and we walked towards his home, I saw the vast poverty there in plain sight, and it was something I could very well understand and sympathize with. Tazuna walked over to the front door to what looked to be a modest 2-floor home. This is my place. It's not exactly extravagant, but it's home to me, my daughter, and my grandson. Your team is welcome to stay with us. You might not believe it, but my daughter is a magnificent cook. Wait till you taste her food. As soon as we entered, we heard someone welcome him, and out of nowhere I got hugged by a woman I never met before. She thanked me for saving her father. I tried very hard to tell her that was a team effort, but it wasn't easy to do with my face planted between her breasts. As soon as she calmed down, she let me go. As I was trying to say, it was a team effort, and we will be guarding your father while he continues his construction. Sakura didn't care at all, and Saomi in her Sasuke disguise kept glaring with such utter look of jealousy that her Sharingan was unintentionally turning on and off. She told us we could use the 2 spare bedrooms, and she was just finished cooking dinner. Tazuna decided to introduce her. This lovely young lady is my daughter Tsunami. Which reminds me, where is my grandson? Tsunami smiled and told us to sit down on the chairs of the table she was pointing at. I honestly don't know. I guess he is upstairs reading about different fish and fishing techniques. My late husband was quite the fisherman, and I guess my son just took after him. As she began to place the food on the table, I did as my mother raised me to do, and I offered to help her. She was very happy to accept my offer. It seemed she had to do all the housework by herself. I had to admit the rice dish was very tasty, and she managed to make quite tasty without using many ingredients. It must be due to the condition of the village. Prices for basic necessities must be going through the proverbial roof. As I was grabbing my glass of juice, I heard as if someone was running down a hall upstairs, and then down the stairs. I was greeted with a boy with black hair, wearing a t-shirt and some short pants. The t-shirt had the picture of a fish on it. You are all idiots. You think you can come to my town and save us, but you will die. Gato is invincible. You can't help us since you all lived cushy and comfortable lives. You don't know anything about real pain. You know nothing about suffering like we do. I waited for the kid to finish speaking till I heard Tsunami apologize to us for what her son said. Inari, you can't talk to these people like that. They kept your dad safe and escorted him home. I stood up and tried very hard to control my temper, but it wasn't easy to do after what the kid named Inari screamed at us. You got to say your things now. Let me ask you some things and you can tell me your answer after you hear my questions. He looked at me like he didn't care either way, so I decided to ask him my questions. I don't know pain and suffering. Then let me ask you, have you been beaten, staved, poisoned, starved, burned and had your bones broken? Does the people of your town wish every day that you die? Do the people of your village refuse to sell you anything and treat you like you carry an incurable disease or you are a piece of garbage, not even human? Well, kid, answer my questions. The kid just told me something I was expecting. No, but so what? Nobody lived like that, so what's the point? I got up from my seat and took my dishes and utensils to the sink and washed them. I walked back to the table and thanked Tsunami for a very delicious meal. I began walking towards the living room when she asked me something that made me stop on my tracks. Naruto, why did you ask my son those questions? Nobody could possibly live the way you described. It sounds more like the stuff of nightmares, and no town would do that to a little boy or girl. I turned around and looked at Inari, who was still looking at me like I just said nonsense. Sorry to tell you this, Tsunami, but there is someone who lives like I said in those questions. In fact, I only asked describing how I am treated back in my village. Now don't you worry about me finding a place to sleep. But right now I need to blow off some steam, so please excuse me. I walked out the front door and decided to find a nice big tree. I walked up on it till I reached a tree branch and decided to go to sleep. Early in the morning I woke up to find Saomi trying to wake me up. Naruto, why did you have to sleep out here? There was a perfectly comfortable bed inside their house for you to sleep in. I looked at her and smiled. I didn't want to make everyone else uncomfortable, and I didn't want to hear her son call me a liar and storm off. We are going to be working and living here for something little over a month. The last thing we need is to cause Tazuna any more problems. As it is, I will send a shadow clone to train with you and Sakura. I will be going undercover as a potential sword for hire. I need to find those financial records so that I can expose Gato for the fraud he is. I felt a presence standing on the ground looking at me and Saomi in her Sasuke disguise. I looked at her and began shaking my head at the notion. Don't tell me the kid is the one standing down there looking at me, cause he asked you to help him find me so he could apologize. She crossed her arms and said that in fact Inari felt sorry after Kakashi told them how hard my life was, and indeed he asked her for her help in finding me. I really need to remind Kakashi to learn to keep secrets better. I have too many things to do than to waste time hearing an apology offered out of perceived obligation. She touched my shoulder and smiled. Don't do it for him then, do it for me. Talk with him before you go, and pretend to be a thug. Be the man I fell in love with, and remember one day you will have kids with me. I couldn't deny her anything when she smiled and was so sweet to me. I was henpecked and I was not even married yet. I could hear my mother as I thought this walking down the tree. Sasuke told me you wanted to talk with me, Inari. What do you want to talk about? Turns out he lied to Saomi, and he didn't mean a word of his supposed request to find me to apologize. That white-haired freak made all that up to back up your bullshit lie. There is no way that you or anyone has a harder life than mine. Gato murdered my father and my mother had to raise me by herself. No one has lived the hell I endured. I looked at him and saw that he really believed what he was saying. How about a bet? The winner gets to ask one request, but the loser has to do it, or be shamed for life. You man enough to make a bet like that? Being the sheltered brat he was, he accepted to make such a bet with me. Hear us what you will do. Every time your mother goes to get anything from the market you will go with her. You look at how the people live, and help your mother. If they all live better than you, you win. If you have a better life than them, I win. I will know if you go or don't, so if you stay home you forfeit the bet and lose. He accepted because his blasted ego would never let him back out of it. He was that determined to prove I was a liar. I walked towards town and with a few hand signs I began to change. In a matter of seconds I looked twice my age, had scars on my face and black shaggy hair. If you didn't know it was me, I looked like a bloodthirsty, greedy bandit. I walked into the bar and ordered the cheapest booze they had. Hey friend, you new in town? Why order that swill and not the good stuff? I looked at him, and he became quiet in a second. My boss got hacked up by those lousy ninja. I don't have a job, and barely made it out of there with my neck. You think I got the coin to pay for the good stuff, or that I'd be drinking this horse piss if I could afford better? He laughed, and decided to give me a glass from his bottle. Man, sorry to hear that. The name is Rinji, and you, what do I call you? I took the glass and gulped the drink like it was water. You can call me Shinji. Now you tell me, Rinji, anyone in this dump need to hire a good swordsman, or do I need to look for work elsewhere? He asked me if I was adverse in killing some townspeople. I laughed my most sadistic laugh and told him I would kill my own mother for the right price. He apparently found that funny. Then you are a man after my own black heart. Sure, I got the perfect job for you. Come on, I will take you to my boss. Just remember, don't kill him, cause he is the chicken that lays them golden eggs. As we walked out of the bar we headed to what looked like to be a shipping business. It was supposed to make us feel the owner was doing great, and had many clients, but as I walked towards the office I read some of the shipping labels. They had names of businesses that had gone out of business years ago. It took a real idiot not to notice these companies didn't exist anymore. Some of the printed addresses sounded fake. As we entered the office I got my first look of the supposedly invincible crime boss. He was a short, balding fat man. I could even say he looked more like a toad than a man. Rinji, who is the guy you brought with you? Rinji looked at him and smiled. This is Shinji, an out-of-work swordsman who would kill his own mother for the right price. Trust me boss, this guy is worth every coin. I brought him over since you said we needed people that weren't afraid to get their hands bloody. He walked over to me and was smiling a rather creepy smile. What Renji said is true, finding reliable people to do wet work is tough. The name is Gato, but to you and the rest of my thugs I am your master. I pay after the job is finished. It keeps wannabes away from here, but I pay well for good work. I looked at him with as much killer intent as I could project at him. When do I get to killing people? I am itching for a bloodbath. Gato laughed as he heard me say that. Renji, you found yourself a real prize it seems. Don't you worry, Shinji. Should my hired ninja fail at their jobs, you are going to be really happy soon enough. For now I just need you to get some deadbeats to pay up their loan payments. But I will give you that list tomorrow. For now, get to know the men you will work with. What if Naruto lives in the forest of death? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel. And leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.